wait, what? What happened to my camera? Oh man, what a disappointing thing to be greeted with. All of my shit's turned off. All right, hold on a second, guys. Oh, will there ever not be technical issues on the X-Men stream? It's always technical issues on the X-Men stream. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Nerdcast. It is Devin, broadcasting as always live from an undisclosed location in the center of Texas on a pretty chill Thursday evening once my camera actually starts to set up and initialize properly, which it might have done just now. Yo, Pedro, welcome back to the stream. How are you doing tonight? Hope your night is treating you well. You know what? Let me call Royal before I start doing all this, because maybe she can, wait, how do I pop this damn thing out? Hey, there it is. I always get mixed up with, my Discord
I can't hear
buttons. You can't hear me at all? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh, wait, where's my desktop audio? Oh, no. Wait, hold on a second. Oh, wait, did that...
Wait, hang on.
Okay, that plays just fine.
Keep talking.
Let me see. Let me make sure my mic isn't muted. My camera's correct. Oh, that's why. Hold on a second. Okay, how about now? How about now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, cool. That's what the issue was. Oh man, I don't know what happened to my computer. Like, I guess it updated Windows, and then all of a sudden everything, all of my settings were blasted to default, which is basically a nonsense setting. So
Oh no.
Yeah, it's been really annoying. Okay, hold on a second. What would our X-Men stream be without our normal technical difficulties setting this thing up?
Every time.
Every time. All right, turn that off. Turn that off. And let's see. How are you doing today?
I am fine. I'm doing well. It is spring break 2024.
There's no surprise
which
there.
Does not personally mean anything for me because I still have to go to work, but I only have to go to work from 10 to 4 Monday through Thursday.
You only have to go, wait, 10 to 4 Monday through Thursday. That's a pretty sweet setup.
Yeah. And then there are no students there, so I just get to, catch up on stuff that I get interrupted because someone needs something or whatever the case may be. I don't have to, stare at my email all day in case someone needs to print something. And so I've been shifting shelves and getting things organized. And then next week, because we have spring break for 2 weeks, so next week I'm gonna do some minor book repairs. It's gonna be my foray into minor book repairs.
Book repairs, like leather-bound books or hardbound books, or
no, just paperback, like a paperback spine coming unglued.
Okay. Well, I mean, that still sounds cool.
Yeah, I actually did some.
It was Don Blankenship. Yo, what's up, Haunted Taco? Welcome back to the stream.
Hey, Taco. Yeah, I looked up how to do it because we have a couple actually. Like, we had a paperback that was falling apart that I already knew was falling apart, and then someone donated one which is not falling apart yet, but you can tell it's bound very poorly, and it will. It's not like if, it's just a matter of when. So I kind of looked up how to do that, and I feel pretty confident about doing it. So I'm gonna do that. And
that sounds like a neat thing to know. Just like a neat skill, because I mean, paperbacks rip up pretty easily, especially if you're like a avid and voracious reader. A friend of mine actually, like, she only reads books in the shower, so all of her books are like bloated and like.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't think there's any repairing that, but yeah, she wrecks havoc on her books.
That
Yo,
is so
Bianca,
funny.
welcome back to the stream.
Hey Bianca, how are you?
All right, I'm gonna
Maybe
pour
your
myself some
favorite
water from my water cooler. So if it sounds like somebody's peeing, I assure you, nobody here is peeing. It's water from my water cooler.
Is that Twitch? Can you do that on Twitch?
Probably off stream.
You gotta hydrate, so it's perfect timing.
It's a good thing I'm getting hit with the hydrate then.
Yeah, thank you, Taco, for keeping our hydration needs.
Yeah, you're on the stream now too, so you have to hydrate as well.
Oh, here I am. We got it.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
ready.
I'm good. How about you guys? I'm doing okay. It was a long and arduous work day. I got out. No, not in the bad way, just in the lots to do. And I got out of. Yeah. And it's one of those days where it's going to lead to me doing like a public presentation tomorrow, which I don't like doing. So I'm not looking forward to that. But
you're doing a public presentation right now.
Well, but it's different though. This is different. This is a work thing and not like a hobby, like doing it for fun sort of thing. So it's about like, so at my work we have like a week where we just dedicate ourselves to like any random project. We don't do any other kind of work. Just focus on whatever experiment or project we want to do, and then at the end of the week we have to show our work basically. So I know that the intention isn't for it to be like a put up or shut up kind of thing, but it feels like a put up or shut up kind of moment. So it's like, oh man, I don't want this thing I've been struggling with for a week to look like an abject failure. I got to make sure it looks good. I have to make sure I present good. So it's just a bunch of added stress. So that's kind of a bummer.
I gotcha.
Yeah, but I mean, otherwise, not too bad. Not so bad.
Can you talk about what you're working on?
No.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
You can't pee on stream, Devin. I never said you could pee on stream. No. Like, if somebody is like my bathroom is over there, and if somebody was in my bathroom with the door open and they had a really strong pee stream, why is my camera getting all blurry? And they had like a really strong pee stream, then like, I'm sure overhearing it isn't going to, that's not the one I want. I want this one. I'm sure that overhearing it isn't going to cause a TOS violation. Uno reverse it to me, that's peeing.
Pino, right? Wait. Oh, that's peeing. Oh, I see it. Sorry. Oh, look, we got a cookie.
Oh, wait, what the hell did I just hear? Bianca is
Hopefully
peeing with dominance. Have this cookie guest. Oh, you got a cookie. I didn't get a cookie. You got the cookie. Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for excluding me, Bianca, even though I tuned in.
I did have a cookie today because it was my coworker's last day of work and they got her one of those giant cookies.
Oh, nice. I always like that. That's one of the benefits of working at an office. Although I don't partake in the sweet thing anymore, but when I did, it was always nice. They would always bring in like the best cakes.
I think I overindulged slightly, but
yeah.
It's I like a soft chocolate chip cookie.
What type of cookies does everyone prefer?
I like a peanut butter cookie also.
Yeah, chocolate chip is by far my preference. Every other cookie below that.
Oh, Taco says we can't chocolate chip. We have to pick something else. I like an Oreo.
Well, there's a reason, but there's a reason why everyone picks chocolate chip though. It's the best cookie. What can I say?
Fair though. Like it's fair to be like your favorite cookie other than a chocolate chip cookie.
My favorite cookie I don't eat cookies if it's not chocolate chip.
Really? Not at all? Not an Oreo?
I guess on occasion. I mean, I don't go out of my way for an Oreo. Like if I'm at some like
An Oreo
function.
is something where I feel like I'm like indulging myself, because if I regularly bought Oreos, it would be over for me because I will eat the whole box.
Well, Oreos are pretty hedonistic. They're a hedonistic kind of cookie because it's got like, especially if you get like the double stuffed one. So I get what you're getting at there, but they have weird Oreos too.
Did you see those space cookies, the space Oreos?
No, I haven't.
Oh my gosh, I got those space Oreos. They have a they're like a regular Oreo. They have like a space stamp, like different stamps of the like cookie itself. The filling is like pink and blue, so my friend and I call them bisexual Oreos. And they have little pop rocks in them. So when you dunk them in milk and eat them, it like crackles in your mouth.
Oh wow, that's a fancy.
Yeah, it has
cookie.
Little pop rocks.
Damn. All right, I'll have to try it at least once then.
Yeah, I don't remember what they're called.
Oatmeal? Like no, Bianca, you're banned from the stream for liking oatmeal cookies. Like peanut butter, peanut butter. There is one place in Texas, and I say in Texas because it's like maybe not hours. It's about an hour-ish away from where I live. It's out in the middle of nowhere, and it's called like Texas Olive Oil Company, because they sell a shit ton of olive oil, their own custom olive oil. But they also do baked goods, and they have a peanut butter cookie that's actually really, really, really good. That's the only peanut butter cookie I'll eat. But other than that,
I like a little 3-ingredient
cardamom
cookie.
I don't even know what
I like
those are.
a little 3-ingredient peanut butter cookie.
Snickerdoodles go straight to jail. Mint chocolate chip, go to jail. Oatmeal and peanut butter are solid. I'm gonna jail all of you for your cookie preferences here.
I feel like at the point of, I'll have to say this, like, I feel like at the point of a dark chocolate or a red velvet cookie, I just want cake at that point.
Yeah, I'll get a red velvet, like a red velvet cupcake is solid.
Yeah.
Like, and cupcakes, I'll take cupcakes in a variety of flavors. And
my friend used to make the most bomb, actually an Oreo cupcake.
Oh,
that was
really?
like a chocolate cupcake with a Oreo cream filling in it.
Oh, that sounds awesome. That sounds like the Hostess cupcake, actually. Like the Hostess cupcake with the cream in it.
It was similar to a Hostess cupcake, but like very fancy and actually delicious, not just like a dense. A Hostess cupcake is the most like dense piece of cake I feel in the world.
And that's part of why I like it. Oh man, so okay, we're all caught up on X-Men 97, huh?
Yeah. I was talking, so my mentor, my divinity school mentor, we have a mentor meeting every Thursday because I'm required to meet with him because of my school. Like, it requires me to meet with him for an hour a week. So we have
you're talking about it like it's a court-ordered mandate, like.
It's a requirement of my study, is that I like, if I don't have a mentor, it's only 5% off like a class grade, so it's not a big deal, but like I'm supposed to have one. So we have a mentor meeting every week, as we are supposed to, and we talk about divinity school, and then we go, okay, X-Men 97. We talk about X-Men and or pro wrestling and or Fallout, the show. So
I have been watching Fallout too. I'm one episode. I'm on the last episode. So
oh, nice.
Yeah,
so
I've been enjoying that show.
So we did talk X-Men today, and I will say what I said to him, which also I did post about this on Twitter, and he did quote tweet it and said, "Let's go." So maybe he'll show up, but I don't know. But yeah, I thought this, like, out of the episodes we've seen, I feel like this was the weakest one so far.
The weakest? How unfortunate, because I know you were looking forward to the life-death story.
I was, and there were things that I liked about it. I liked the adversary, the owl demon kind of thing. I thought it looked cool. It looked cool and scary in a way.
Yo, Poxborn, like, thanks for the resub. Hey, I appreciate it. Welcome back to the stream.
Hey. I like that owl demon looked scary in a way that like took me back to like being a kid and seeing something scary in a movie. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I was like, man, 5-year-old me would have been scared shitless by this now.
It was. I mean, it was pretty creepy how they illustrated it, animated it. Like it was. I got there was
Yeah.
some horror movie vibes going on with it, but
Yeah, absolutely.
as we know the life death story. We know what Fall of
Yeah.
Mutants was. You can't help but feel a little disappointed that they didn't go all the way there, because it could have gotten a lot creepier. It could have gotten a lot scarier. And it could have gotten a lot
And
more
I think
disturbing if they went into Forge a
I
little bit
think it
more.
was also like less intense emotionally in story, like which is
That was
is also
purposeful.
something that's kind of but it's also something that's hard to do, is to like have the emotional impact of something that takes place over several issues that you were kind of cramming into 15 minutes.
Yeah. I think that the lessened emotional impact was, deliberate as a result of the increased emotional impact of episode 5 and how that ended. This was definitely like, okay, let's take a break and we're gonna resume Storm's story arc and all of that sort of stuff. But it does kind of pour water on what could have been a more impactful story.
So your like point of view is that we've been terrorized by potential Gambit and Magneto death, and now with Storm we have learned to love again.
Well, I don't even know. Well, maybe not learn to love again, but take a deep breath. Like, okay, you just went through something traumatic. Let's take a deep breath. Let's turn our attention away from that, and we're going to ease you back into the X-Men world that you're somewhat familiar with this story of Storm and Forge. And there's Triumph. She gets her powers back. I don't quite know how.
OG costume makes
She's
an
got the
appearance,
OG
which is
costume.
my favorite of hers, honestly.
Really, the OG. I like the punk rock look.
I like the punk rock look, but I would say like out of them all, like that's top tier for me. I love that. I love it. I love the little headdress. I love that in the old like comics she has like her lockpicks in there and shit.
Yeah,
I love that old costume.
I love the costume too. That was a great appearance. Like there was Triumph.
I'm surprised they didn't give us like kind of that punk rock costume, but maybe they will.
She wore it a little bit in when she met Ford. She was wearing it at that bar in Dallas or whatever. But I definitely wanted to see a lot more of it. I wanted to see, like, I guess if I was going to have a criticism of this show in general, is that it feels like they're speed running too much of the story and character development, etc. It's and I know that the show has been greenlit for 3 seasons, or 2 additional seasons, so 3 seasons total. I don't know why they feel the need to just like run through all of these really hefty moments and really big story moments with all of these characters and just kind of lightly touch on them. There's not really a deep dive into a lot of these individual things. Like we just kind of get shallow kind of skips across the main story beats of Storm loses her power, she's with Forge, she has a confrontation with Naze or whatever the creature's name is, and then she gets her powers back. It's like, okay.
Toasty's in the chat and they have been sick for the past few days, but it's okay because they're putting things in their mouth.
Yo, what's up, Badalco Toaster? Welcome back. I hope you feel better. Feel better soon. And I hope the things that you're putting in your mouth aren't going to be detrimental to that cause.
Make you feel worse.
Yeah. A female main character in my Fallout show. Not like there are any female.
How did you feel about this
characters in the game or work or anything? Oh, hold on 1 second. Let me catch up on the chat real quick. And Ella Purnell was an awesome choice. I could talk about Fallout later because I definitely have some thoughts on Fallout. I'll share my Fallout thoughts a little later.
Yeah, I would like to hear your Fallout thoughts also. I'm excited to hear that.
There are many things that I've been put in my mouth. All right, Toaster. All right, settle down over there. Anyways, what you were saying?
Shiar, Professor X, Lilandra. I was not anticipating that storyline at all.
I felt that it was gonna happen because that's Xavier in the comic when Magneto took over for the X-Men. It was because Xavier was out in space. He thought his X-Men were dead, so he jettisoned off into space and had his space affair and all of that. So I figured that they were gonna rope that into it. I didn't know to like what end. It was kind of neat seeing, I guess, Vulcan made an appearance. I was never a big Vulcan fan, but it's kind of cool that they're using the opportunity to cameo other characters. It'd be cool to see the Starjammers, but I don't know if we'll see that.
I mean, we have seen them before.
We've seen them before in the original series.
In the old show.
Yeah. What did you?
Corsair is the real Summers tea. Like Corsair is who I want.
Corsair,
Dad.
It's funny because, like, as a kid, the Corsair character, you would see him with his weird mustache and everything, and it was like, oh, this guy is like, I don't know if I like this guy. He looks goofy. But now, Corsair would be like a hipster. He would be like the ultimate sort of like his whole vibe is now like an aesthetic. So it would be interesting to see how that character would be greeted. But I liked the Shi'ar stuff. I've never been a huge fan of the Shi'ar stuff in the comics, but to the degree that they went there in the show, I thought it was fine. They used it as an opportunity to show that Xavier was still around, and he and Lilandra were doing their thing and were poised to get married, but he couldn't. And I liked Deathbird. I've always liked.
Yeah, seeing her, it was great. Her voice actress was very good. I don't know who it was.
Yeah,
but very expressive. She was, looked terrific.
It's a bummer they sent Bishop back into the future before Deathbird showed up.
Oh man, do they have something? Is there like a?
Oh yeah, there was like a
them?
big Bishop Deathbird romance.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm surprised you weren't aware of that.
I'm not. No. When was that?
Oh, it was in the late 90s, I think.
Oh wow. It may have been something like I had heard of on the. I don't know. It doesn't sound familiar to me, but like there's a lot of like lore that are things that I've heard about that I haven't necessarily read.
Let me see if I can.
When they are having the like fight at the beginning, like the two like alien, like the Shi'ar and oh, look at them.
Yeah, this is Joe
yeah, that's Joe Madureira.
Joe Madureira,
yeah.
circa 1997 or so. Yeah, it started off in that particular Uncanny X-Men issue, but it lasted for some time at least. So yeah,
wow.
It was kind of a bummer. I was like, oh, they brought Deathbird into it, but they sent Bishop away. And they've been rotating in characters in and out. Like, obviously, Gambit's gone, but Nightcrawler had his own.
Nightcrawler's in the little intro,
He's in
which
the
I
intro.
love to see.
Yeah, I was happy to see that.
Like, oh my god, my baby boy!
Like, he graduated to the X-Men finally.
So cute.
I love Nightcrawler.
I do too. I at the beginning where they're having this fight, and then like Gladiator shows up. I'm like, you guys should just give it up. It's over. Once Gladiator shows up, you should just be like, I surrender.
What exactly are Gladiator's powers? Because like I remember.
So get this.
It's like tied to his confidence.
Told me this today. Yeah, it's tied to his confidence.
But I don't know what that means.
I guess like the more confident he is, the more powerful he gets. Which is crazy. I didn't know that. I just thought he was just like a really strong alien. And I was like, really? And then Solomon said, yeah, and so he is he's susceptible to psychic attacks because they could make you, feel less sure of yourself. And I was like, what we needed really was a Goblin Queen Gladiator, like
clash.
Yeah.
Well, the funny
like,
thing,
the
so
Goblin Queen should turn Gladiator into her sub, is what I think.
I remember, so when Gladiator first appeared on Earth, like he fought Juggernaut. Well, Juggernaut tried to punch him, but didn't do anything to him, and then Gladiator threw him across the ocean. So, you know, it was like, oh, okay, so this dude is just incredibly strong. But then later on, during this run of Uncanny X-Men that Joe Mad was, oh no, what happened? She vanished. Was that your doing, Suki? You're sabotaging the stream. Sorry.
Sorry, I messed up.
Oh, don't worry. Actually, you know what? Your audio was out of sync with your video, but I think it may have been fixed now.
Oh.
So, yeah, it worked out for the better.
It's funny because you just said that, and then it says it looks like Discord is not detecting any audio.
Oh, I could hear you fine.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, and it looks like the thing lose on my Streamlabs for desktop audio, so everyone can hear you. You're good. But yeah, I was talking about Gladiator. Like during this run, he fought Cannonball, and you know, Cannonball could create an impenetrable force field whenever he's like doing his blast attack. So like, Guardian was planning to like punch him into the sun. And so he hits him at the same time that Cannonball ignites, and like the punch does nothing because the force field blocked him. And at that moment, like Gladiator's confidence was shattered, and then Cannonball just fucked him up. So it was like, oh, of all the dudes to beat Gladiator, it's like this random weirdo mutant that has like an incomprehensible power. It's like, okay, well, it's kind of cool, but you know, I at that moment I was really confused about Gladiator's powers. But I like Gladiator as a character. He's interesting.
I guess that his alien race, they are born with the capacity for great strength and various superpowers, but can only use them when they are completely devoted to a purpose.
And they are completely devoted to a purpose.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Wikipedia though, so.
Well, I mean, what else to go off of?
Yeah.
So, what did you think about the Shi'ar stuff?
I was not that into it.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, oh.
Now, people have been you know, enjoying Lady Deathbird's barbs here.
Alliance with his inferior homeworld.
I respect you speaking the quiet part out loud, Deathbird. So let's speak plainly. Your Empress and I decide alliances, as well as which world we call home.
Chandalar is home. Our throne world.
Of course, Lord Chancellor. I nearly meant...
Spoke the quiet part out loud. Xavier would see his Milky Way ghetto become our new throne world.
You are twisting my...
That's pretty hardcore. To refer to the entire Milky Way as a ghetto is pretty brutal.
I know, like, probably when I was watching that, I was like, ah.
I was offended. I was like, ghetto? Wait a second. Like, wait a second over here. We gotta defend the Milky Way. We got a Milky Way pride. Like, we've got problems, but we know how to handle our own when we need to, I guess.
I mean, Empire versus Empire. Basically.
I feel called out on a galactic scale.
Yeah,
I know, that's
exactly.
what I'm saying.
I'm like, oh snap.
This is like a fucking cosmic diss track.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was that one section where like Professor X is like, you're talking about me like I'm your pet. Which is not like entirely, I'm not against it. And I was like, oh snap.
Oh, you know that they were into some kinky shit. He's got his legs back with the suit. You know he was doing. Yeah. He's been trying every possible position that his legs will allow him to that he hasn't been capable of doing. You know, since he's been in that wheelchair, he's examined it all. So yeah, they've got that kind of relationship going on.
Yeah.
Like he shows up
also,
wearing,
like-
he has the audacity to say that Deathbird is dramatic, and he's in like that flamboyant golden mask. He's like Liberace over here. It's like, what are you talking about dramatic? It's like, god damn, but you know, that's the way he rolls though.
I will say, like, I think I would not have been as like this episode just made me really impatient. Like I was just like, I want to know what happened in Genosha.
Yeah. I warned you that this was gonna happen.
It was like, wipe this man's brain. I don't care. Get back to the real shit.
Play it again? Okay, hold on one second. Yo, what's up, Vince? Welcome back to the stream. I haven't watched this at all yet, but might binge it when the season is over. I mean, slight disappointments, and disappointments is in quotes here. Slight disappointment with this episode aside. It's a fantastic show, so it's definitely
it's a great show. It's not, and that's not like, it's not even that it was a bad episode.
Yeah,
it's just that for me, like, so far my least favorite.
Right, I could agree with that.
Inferior homeworld. Alliance with his inferior homeworld.
Here you go, Bianca.
Speaking the quiet part out loud, Deathbird. So let's speak plainly. Your Empress and I decide alliances, as well as which world we call home.
Chandelier is home. Our throne world.
Of course, Lord Chancellor. I nearly meant...
Spoke the quiet part out loud. Xavier would see his Milky Way ghetto become our new throne world.
You are twisting my words.
Alliance
His
with his
Milky Way
inferior
ghetto.
homeworld.
Oh man, that cuts deep. That is.
I really appreciate how they, like, even though she doesn't have pupils, they still animate
her
her
eye
eyes
bulge.
to, like, yeah.
Now, Deathbird's a great character. Like, that's the problem with this show, is like there are so many great characters, and they're only like, I don't know. Okay, this is a different rant. This is a different rant altogether. It's shrinkflation. It's the same as when you get the bag of potato chips and it's mostly air, and they take away fewer and fewer. They take away more and more chips, so you have fewer and fewer in a big bag of air, but they charge you more. So it's like, oh, this bag of chips is like $1 more than it used to be, but I'm getting less chips. Like, it's the same concept with streaming shows, where it used to be a TV show or a series for a show was 23 episodes. 23 episodes for a season. And then it got whittled down to 13 episodes for a season with the Marvel Netflix stuff and a few other Netflix shows when premium television expanded beyond just HBO. But then it got whittled down to 10 episodes, and then it got whittled down to like 6 episodes for some things, and then some TV shows were even just 4 episodes. And it's like, Disney, you're making me pay so much fucking money for Disney Plus, for Hulu. I'm paying for Hulu and I still have to watch ads on the fucking thing. And instead of giving me a 23 episode season, I have to cram. It's like I'm studying for an exam, for an X-Men exam, cramming all of the high notes of all of this shit in a 10 episode run. Why can't we have 23 episodes of this? I know it's a lot to animate, but it's always been that way. You know, just take the time to animate it and give us like a full season. Give us back our full seasons of television if we're paying so much for all these premium services anyways. That's my rant. Sorry.
To add to that, I feel like Amazon.com makes so much profit. They don't, like, I already pay for Prime. I'm not paying an extra fee for it to be ad-free because you guys want to run commercials.
Yeah.
Suddenly.
Yeah, like every
Like,
streaming service I have.
You do not need my $3. You can just not run commercials. Make $1 billion fucking dollars every year.
Yeah, and the most annoying part about it is a lot of content. So whenever people made shows for television prior to all of this streaming stuff, the shows would be written and shot with commercial breaks in mind. So it always made sense where a break happened in the story. But they don't do that anymore. They're all written and shot to be like, you know, basically mini movies. But that just means that all of these streaming services that inject ads into all of this really break up what you're watching in unnatural ways.
Like, in the middle of whatever.
To the point where
like, here it is.
I was watching something and, you know, it was the middle of a scene and it cut to like a commercial and then it cut back and it was a completely different scene and I had no idea if I missed something. Like, did the ad break force me to skip something I should have seen? I had to go back and rewatch it and shit. So like, it's destructive to the actual product too. It's nonsense.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a little mini rant there.
It's truly, it's not like, oh, like we have to run ads so we can, they don't have to at all. They don't have to run ads or an Amazon Prime anything.
No, they don't. Every time I see an ad pop up, it just,
and it's really annoying.
Yeah, because they know they can get away with it, I guess.
Well, I mean, like, what are people gonna do? Be like, they're just gonna pony up $3, you know?
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, I canceled a few of my services over that shit, and I've only I guess Hulu and Disney Plus are one thing now, even though I guess I pay for both. I don't know what to do about that. Like, if I might just end up canceling both anyways after the X-Men run. I don't know. I haven't made my decision on that yet. But I see you posted the pirate flag there in the chat, and you know, I've expressed my feelings on that too. I'm about to go the way of Monkey D. Luffy.
Yeah.
But what does that mean, by the way? Bianca, it means that the Milky Way is a ghetto. Sol is a ghetto, yes, Taco. The rest of the Milky Way is probably all right. Maybe, but you know, it's like the Earth is like the bad Earth and its solar system is like the bad house in the neighborhood that just lowers the property value of everything around it. So it's probably one of those situations going on.
In the Marvel universe, are there other, like, is it like here where like Earth and the Milky Way is the only inhabited planet, or is there like life on Mars
in the Marvel universe?
I don't know.
There's life everywhere in the Marvel universe.
Earth is a trap house. Totally.
I think Game of Thrones changed the meta before streaming even started with the amount of episodes. Well, HBO, that's why I said besides HBO, because HBO and Showtime, like, that was always premium television, so that was always, you paid extra to watch that. Like, you had to go out of your way to watch that shit. So you didn't, you know,
yeah,
you didn't have to deal with ads during, you know, watching those shows. Because that was the point. It was home box office, right? But
yeah,
all of that has changed now. I don't have a problem with the amount of episodes, but the year-long wait between seasons, I'm the opposite. Like, I can wait if they actually give me the money's worth, like the bang for the buck.
Did you watch when it came out the first season of now, what is that show? Cowboy Show on Amazon. They just renewed it.
Cowboy Show on Amazon. I'll be honest with you.
Outer Range.
I haven't seen that.
They just they said they were gonna do a second season, and then I because I watched the first season came out I think 2021 or 22, and I watched it. It was like 10 episodes, and the second season is going to be in May, I think. So I thought that they just weren't, I thought it was just one of those things that, like, you know, like it flew off into the ether.
Yeah.
But it was something.
I mean,
it was very weird.
I gotta be honest, I haven't watched a whole lot of shows on Prime. Invincible I've watched. And I guess Fallout. I don't know what other shows besides those two that
I watched Outer Range because I thought that it was only 10 episodes.
Oh, it's more than that.
And I was like, okay. Yeah, so yeah, I was like, oh, it's only 10 episodes, and then they're like, I was like, wait a minute,
How many
this isn't
episodes is it?
ended. Well, now because now they renewed it for another season, but I
Oh,
just thought it was a
oh, oh!
standalone.
You thought it was just the
So that's why I
okay.
started. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay, great, let's go. Yeah, it was interesting is the word, Taco. It's interesting. It's interesting.
It
A
has the
little
actor
time travel
who
business.
plays what Lewin in No Country for Old Men. I don't know. I mean, I watched Old Country from No Country for Old Men, but I can't tell you any of the characters' names in that.
I could not tell you any person in this show, but it was very like small town Twin Peakish in a way. Like it had
okay.
It has this very like time travel storyline that is serious with some other serious things thrown in, but it has like a weirdness to it that is Twin Peaks-esque. And the humor of it is also that way.
I'm a big fan of Twin Peaks, so that's a good way to sell that to me. Josh
something
Brolin
that like when you look at like
talking about.
when you look at it, you would never think it. Like if you just like watch the trailer or whatever.
Yeah.
But as you go into it, it gets more and more like that kind of like small town weird shit. Crazy characters, but instead of being in like the town of Twin Peaks, it's in this like farming like ranch town almost. So
okay, cool. I'm definitely gonna watch this then. I like Josh Brolin. Like, I'm a big fan of most things he's in.
Yeah,
so.
he was great. It like everyone in it is pretty terrific. So I like, yeah, it's just been so long since I saw it. Let's talk Fallout.
Are we done with X-Men? I mean, wait, hold on. How did it end? How did this episode? How did this episode end?
It ended with oh, we're back from saving Forge. Let's see what's on the TV.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, holy shit.
The Forge romance, the Forge Storm romance was kind of lame. I wasn't super. I didn't really buy it. Excuse me. It was kind of.
They never in it. That I think that's kind of like par for the course. I think I feel that way about their entire
in general
relationship. Yeah, I just don't like. It doesn't go for me. It's just not. It doesn't hit personally.
I guess,
feel the same way about Wolverine and Jean.
Well, it doesn't always hit. It doesn't hit for me. Like
they got better. There's better pairings to be made.
Well, it's not even. I guess it's not in my point of view. It's not even about like the. It's not even really about the will they, won't they of it, rather than it is just like, what character traits does this other person bring out in the other? Like, what character traits of Storm does Forge's, arrogance and kind of like obnoxious behavior bring out in Storm, and Storm's like stubbornness and like dominance, basically her domination kind of she's definitely a dom. She's no sub. Like, what does that bring out in someone like Forge? Like it's and that was like always the interesting thing to me about the Wolverine Jean Grey stuff, is that she offered a mechanism for a dude who otherwise was just a stone cold killer to exhibit other personality traits. And I kind of enjoyed that. And the Cyclops,
I think that's fair, but it's something that like we're not seeing in this show.
No,
you know what I mean?
Because I think
so that's why to me I'm like, all right, let's move on.
The show is speed running so much, and on the one hand I appreciate it. On the other hand, I wish that they hadn't gone that route, because it feels like fan service to a degree. It doesn't feel like they have a real story that they want to tell that's going to marinate with people. It feels like they got an order from Marvel, like, hey, this is your mission for X-Men 97. we need you to catch everyone up with all the major story arcs that happened since the show went off the air. And even a few that happened that we didn't fully close out when the show was on the air, like the Sinister stuff. So you have 10 episodes. Get to it.
I think though that your prediction, because there was a little Sinister like pop at the end, and I think you had made a prediction about that before,
Yeah.
where you were like, they're gonna tie this back to Mr. Sinister.
Yeah.
And I had forgotten about that until you brought him up. So
Yeah, the
it's like,
Genoshan
yeah,
massacre.
here we go.
It was the work of Sinister, which, okay, fine, I'm okay with that, and I like him as a villain, so anytime he shows up, I'm happy. But this episode was definitely like the breather episode, which is kind of weird. You know, you only have 10 episodes, so maybe don't waste one. You know, letting people catch their breath. Just go all in. Just go all in,
Nighty
nonstop.
night. Have a good night, Bianca.
Oh, later on, Bianca. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. Have a good rest of your night.
Yeah, Mr. Sinister is a very corny name. I'll agree with you.
Mr.
but
You know what? It's a very DC name, but
he's so like bad though that like you have to respect it.
I like it. I
He's
like
evil.
it. Mr. Sinister. I mean, he could have been
Me.
Dr. Sinister, but he was honest. He was like, I didn't get my doctorates. I'm not going to call myself Dr. Sinister. I'm Mr., okay?
Dr. Sinister.
I'm
No
not
surprise there.
I'm not Lord Sinister. I'm just Mr., okay? It's like Mr. Sinister. Mr. was my dad, was my father.
Oh my god. Do you remember? And this is like a deep cut, and probably I'm gonna say this, and you're probably gonna look at me real dumb, but there was an episode of Dragnet, and
Okay, I'm already lost.
the guy was yeah, there was an episode of Dragnet, and whoever was the guy that they were tracking down in Dragnet, who possibly beat his wife or something. I don't remember
Oh,
what, but
no.
he insisted that his wife call him Mr. Whoever, and he had it tattooed on himself, and that's what I think about.
Bianca, you had to
have a-
call the feds on me before you bolted, huh? Did you know you got a copy of your
Professor-
stream on top of you guys? Yeah, that's just from the desktop share. I have a supervillain whose name is
Wait.
Professor Doesn't Know What a Swimming Pool Is. Every morning of his backyard and his minions. Wait. Every morning he's falling in the pool
Every
in his
morning
backyard.
he's flailing in the pool of his backyard.
His minions have to pull him out while he's screaming, "What's happening?" That
I
sounds
love that.
that sounds like a character you
That's
create.
great. I love it. Okay, so what do you have to do here? Hydrate and posture check.
Okay.
I know my posture is terrible. Let's hydrate.
With the hydration and checking the posture.
Devin, you might be a Fed. Royal is definitely a Fed. There's no question about it.
Oh, you're definitely a Fed. Man, you've been outed.
How dare you compare me to Valerie Cooper?
You've been outed.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, so it ends with them turning on the news and seeing what happened there with Genosha. So I guess we'll return
I
to
thought
that.
that was a missed opportunity. I thought they could have shown some footage on the screen,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Ah, look at it. It looks so fucking creepy. It's so good, that owl.
Yeah, this was a cool scene. This was a good moment.
Mhm.
I can't remember how does she get her powers back in the comic?
I think she gets them through that ferry, doesn't she? 'Cause
I
they're like, okay, we can pull you in here. We'll restore your powers. You can
Oh,
either
the
go
siege-
back to Earth
the
or
siege
go through the
paralysis?
siege perilous.
Oh,
Yeah, the
okay.
siege perilous. Yeah, I want to say. Yeah, I got so stoked when I saw that little headdress come on there.
Yeah, she all of a sudden, like, there's so many Sailor Moon transformations in this season.
Hmm.
She had her own little one. Look at her sky dancing.
I know. Love it.
She's flying with horses.
We're so back.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to see, and this really well animated too. I liked it. It was a cool moment.
Beautiful.
probably
at
the
least right.
highlight of the episode. We'll have to see how it manifests
Yeah.
when she returns to the X-Men, or what's left of them at least.
Yeah, I hope she keeps this costume, but I don't. I don't know what they'll do.
I get
What do
the
you
sense,
think? What are your predictions?
my predictions? I still think that they're gonna build. Well, let's see. I still think they're gonna build towards Schism. I think that's
Oh, that's right.
yeah. Like I
I need to write that down so I can look it up.
yeah. Use your totally legal comic book thing to look up Schism.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next episode is called Bright Eyes, which might be a Cyclops thing. And then the last 3 episodes are all bundled together as Tolerance is Extinction. So we'll have to see. That sounds like maybe a Cyclops rationale for him going full mutant terrorist.
Excuse me. So I watched basically I kind of came in at the end of Fallout. It was kind of on and like my anime podcaster Daryl Surratt was watching it, and so it'd be on and I would kind of catch glimpses of it, and then I kind of sat down and watched the last maybe 4 or 5 episodes. But let me know what your thoughts of it are, because I don't have the context of playing the game. So
I mean,
I have questions, but
I
it was
don't
cool.
either. I never read. I never played any of the games except for I played a little bit of Fallout 2 in high school, but I was just as vacant about the series as you were going into it. But I think that's probably for the better, honestly. Like for adaptations, I think it might be detrimental to have like high expectations of a 1-to-1 sort of adaptation rather than just going into it as like a new piece of media. So I'm okay with, I like going into things blind. And this show, it's kind of weird. Like, did you ever watch Twisted Metal on Peacock?
Mm-mm.
So on Peacock, they did a Twisted Metal TV show that was an adaptation of the PlayStation game. It starred Anthony Mackie and a few other people, someone else. It was actually like watching the trailer for that show. I'll be real. It looked like shit. I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, but I watched it and I actually ended up really liking it. It was, when you watch the trailer, you could tell what they're going for. Like, this is a borderline slapstick. I mean, in some cases, it's not borderline at all. It is a slapstick comedy, action comedy set in a dystopian, future. Fallout has always seemed way more serious to me, and I was kind of surprised that the show, it's not as slapsticky as Twisted Metal is, but it's a lot like Twisted Metal in that, this is more, I guess, for lack of a better word, lighthearted than I thought it would be.
It did have some comedy elements that were silly, and I appreciated that. Like, it wasn't like taking itself too crazy seriously, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it didn't take itself super serious. I mean, there were some moments where it was pretty grim, but it was still a pretty, I liked it. It was a pretty fun adventure for the most part, and following the main character, what was her name, Lily or something like that, following her adventure as she leaves the vault, and she has like her naive kind of childish view of how the world functions.
Lucy,
okay, yeah. And then it's just slowly stripped away from her as she goes through more and more really fucked up, harrowing kind of ordeals, and it's just oh man, this is like a real eye-opening kind of adventure for her. It was cool to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And the other characters, I liked watching their own little story arcs too. Fallout is hardly serious at all in many regards. Again, I haven't played the game. I'm just basing it off of videos and screenshots and shit that I've seen. And none of it portrayed to me that it was like a comedy or anything like that. But I actually liked the show. Like it was, and I haven't seen the season finale, so I'll watch that probably this week and have a more cogent thought on how everything wraps up. But for all the episodes I've seen up until it's
pretty terrific.
Yeah,
I think worth watching if you have time. Definitely, I feel great about it.
Yeah, for certain.
It looks beautiful.
It looks great.
Yeah,
and
looks
all
terrific.
of the actors are fantastic in their roles. I like Walter Goggins' character. Had a real
terrific.
I don't know if you watched Westworld on HBO, but
I have seen a little bit of it.
Yeah, his character has like a real Ed Harris kind of vibe.
I think what I really liked about Walton Goggins is because I feel like because part of the show is a period show, right? Like there are flashbacks that take place pretty much like in a world of like the 50s or 60s. And I think that he has the look of a movie star from the 50s.
You know what? That was exactly what I thought.
Convincing.
That was exactly what I thought.
I'm like, this is terrific, buddy. Like, it's the perfect. Like, he just like, you like stuck him in a world, and it's like he was born for it. Like, and I think that's hard to get these days. I think that like you kind of like put people in there, and they kind of look off because but he looks like he was made to be that guy. I don't know how to explain it.
That's funny that you put it that way, because I've always I've seen Walton Goggins as like a weird looking dude. I was like, that guy's a weird looking dude, and I couldn't quite understand why I always felt that way, but I was always like, yeah, he's a weird looking dude. But in that segment in the show where he's doing like the black and white TV commercial for the Vault, I was like, you know what? He looks like a classic movie star. He looks like Cary Grant or Jimmy Butler. Is it Jimmy Butler? Is that the guy's name?
Jimmy Stewart?
Jimmy Stewart. Yeah, he looks like Jimmy Stewart, or he looks like Cary Grant, or he looks like Humphrey Bogart. He looked like one of those dudes.
Yeah. Just straight, like, imported.
Yeah. And, like...
pulled him out of the time machine.
To that effect, if they had gotten, like, someone who is, I guess, conventionally handsome by today's standards, like, I don't know if it would have had the same feel or vibe. Like, if they had gotten, like, Chris Hemsworth or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it wouldn't have... I don't think it would have worked.
It's hard because, like, I think that also, like... because of his age, that he's more, because I think that also maybe not a lot of people who are coming up now kind of have that, I don't know, like, background.
Yeah.
In terms of like watching these old movies, kind of like knowing how people, because it's a whole different world. Like, people don't speak like that anymore. It's a whole different like look. And like I said before, like I feel like, you can take like a modern actor or actress and put them in like a period costume and period makeup and whatnot, but it doesn't always like convince you, because it's and he just like is convincing. It's like they just smacked him out of a fucking time machine.
It'll be interesting to see how it works out for, Leonardo DiCaprio, since it was just announced that he's going to be playing Frank Sinatra in the...
I saw that.
Yeah. And I don't know if he's one of those dudes. Maybe he is. I've never got a sense that he was. I mean, he looks significantly older and more weather-worn now than he did back when he was in, What's Eating Gilbert Grape, obviously. But does he have the vibe? Can he pull off classical actor?
It's hard to say because I haven't seen him and that's also part of my problem, is like I don't think I've seen him in a lot of things, and so
Yeah.
and I also am slightly biased because I don't like Frank Sinatra.
You don't like Frank Sinatra. Well,
No, he's a little rat-faced guy.
oh
I actually started watching a movie that he was in, like Pal Joey, I think
Yeah.
is stars Frank Sinatra, and I was just like, can't do it. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna watch Rita Hayworth sing this song and then I'm turning this off.
But I did like The Man with the Golden Arm. I don't know if you ever seen that.
What is that?
Oh,
haven't.
it's a
about
classic.
it.
It's a oh
I have to say I watch a classic movie for a bombshell lady.
The Man with the Golden Arm. Frank Sinatra, Eleanor Parker, and Kim Novak. It's Sinatra plays.
Kim Novak.
He plays a jazz musician who is addicted to heroin, and
Wow.
he's trying to kick the habit, but he struggles to do so. I mean, that's what the title is all about. The Man with the Golden Arm. It's about shooting up, but this movie was prominent because
But he's a musician too, right?
he's a musician too. Yes,
What
in a jazz
What is he
jazz
playing?
band. I forget. I think I want to say drums. He's released from narcotics with a set of drums. Yes, he plays drums. So yeah, it was actually, what the fuck? The full movie is on Wikipedia. Oh, that's one way to watch a movie, I guess. You go to Wikipedia to watch the full
Can you
damn.
imagine? No
Oh.
ads on Wikipedia. They're
There are
just
no-
gonna ask you to contribute 380.
Exactly.
Please don't pass this by.
Hey, you know what? You don't fucking make me watch ads and shit, then I'll be happy to. So this was notable
Taco,
though.
Same for me.
Like, Saul Bass did the intro for this movie. Saul Bass is a very prominent graphic designer. His influence in graphic design for film was responsible for a lot of the classic movie intros. A lot of Bond intros were inspired by Saul Bass and all the other sort of stuff. A lot of that comes from this movie, like this intro right here. And I had to study this in the history of graphics communications class when I was doing my graphic designs degree. And, that's how I learned about it. But then I went and watched the movie after the fact because I was also really getting into jazz at the time. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And it actually is a really good movie. I would recommend that you give it a shot. I mean, if for no other reason, the fact that it's free on Wikipedia. So, you know where to find it. But,
That's so funny to me, though.
It is. I mean, Wikipedia has a... Look. I'm not going to get into how I discovered this, but if you go to the Wikipedia page over ejaculation, there is a full video of a dick just popping off. It's just right there on Wikipedia, just popping off. It's there. But it's educational. It's educational. Yeah, right. So. Wikipedia. There's all sorts of stuff on there. There's a whole world of shit that you would not expect to see on Wikipedia. That's on there. So I guess maybe if this is a movie that was inducted into the Library of Congress or something, then I guess I can understand.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's public domain too, so that's why.
Yeah, if it's in the public domain, then that's why.
Yeah.
Do you have a? Do you like Frank Sinatra's music or you don't care?
There are a couple of Sinatra songs that I'm okay with, I guess. I don't know, that's not exactly a ringing endorsement, but
I'm Taco says Buddy Holly, favorite musician of that era. But Buddy Holly is not a crooner. And I would ask, because Frank Sinatra was a crooner, and I would say, who is your favorite crooner? And my answer is Nat King Cole.
I was gonna say Nat King Cole as well. I like Nat King Cole a lot. I'm not much of a crooner person. There was also Oh Jesus, who was that guy? Animaniacs used to make fun of him a lot. Oh, I'm gonna have to look this up. Hold on a second. Crooner.
Taco wants to know if it's Tony Bennett. Oh, Tony Bennett for you? No. Tony Bennett says the best. Are you talking about like Dino?
Okay, hold on a second. I don't know how else to look this up. Okay, this is the new one. I'm talking like old bits. Seth Meyers, Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump. Okay, this is all new stuff. William Shatner, honorable mentions.
Dean Martin.
It might have been Dean Martin, actually. I think. Hold on, let me see. It might have been Dean Martin.
Like
Although
Dean
they
Martin
drew him
too.
looking, they did not give him, did not do him any favors the way they animated him. But, I think I like him too.
I feel like Animaniacs made fun of Frank Sinatra.
I think they did at some point, but
Frank Sinatra is a very easy caricature, I would have to say.
no, it was Dean Martin. Okay, it was Dean Martin.
It was Dean Martin?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm also not. You know what? You know the person who is like a crooner and he makes me absolutely insane? And I don't know why. Just I hear his voice and I'm like, no.
Who?
And it's Michael Bublé.
Oh yeah, I'm
Can't
not a. I
stand
mean, yeah, he's. I don't know. For some reason, like new people singing old style songs, I don't take them seriously. Like I don't know why that is, but I don't take him seriously as like a crooner or like a lounge act.
I feel like Michael Bublé should be like the person I love in the world because he's a crooner who wants to sing an old style song and he wants to sing Christmas music, but I don't care for him at all.
Okay, fair enough.
Michael
Wait,
Bublé.
that's what you're all about? Crooners singing Christmas music?
I'm about Christmas music.
You're about Christmas
And
music.
I'm about Christmas music. Yeah. I'm
Okay,
all
what's
about
your
it.
go-to?
Like-
What's your go-to Christmas music?
Like number one or
Yeah.
what? Like my
Well,
go-to Christmas music? I have
artists.
a 3-hour playlist on Spotify.
A 3-hour Christmas? Oh, jeez.
Yeah. It de-stresses me. It's relaxing. It like
Why? Christmas music? You're not talking about
Yeah.
like you're not are you talking about like the classics like Jingle Bell Rock and that kind of shit?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
gross.
I love it.
Gross.
I love it.
No.
Ain't good enough.
Oh
I
god.
like that Bing Crosby White
Silver
Christmas
Bells?
album, just soothing. What's that?
Silver Bells?
Yeah, with the Andrews sisters, absolutely.
No, I'm
I
thinking
really
of
like I want a hippopotamus for Christmas.
Oh
about it.
god, no.
The Jackson 5 Christmas album, terrific.
I mean, that's okay. The other stuff was unacceptable.
No,
I
it's
want
all-
a hippopotamus
accept
for Christmas.
it for Christmas.
I
Yeah.
hate that fucking song. With the annoying kid that sings it.
Yes.
He's got like a
Nuttin'
nasally
for
voice.
Christmas. Well, it's a girl who sings "I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas," and then there is a boy who sings "Nuttin' for Christmas" because he's been nuttin' but bad.
Bing
I like that
Crosby.
kid, too.
Bing Crosby, Silver Bells is what I'm thinking. And Bing Crosby, I think, is
Yeah.
another one that Animaniacs made fun of. I think it was
Oh,
Bing
probably.
Crosby.
He has a terrific voice. I really like that Bing Crosby, David Bowie, little drummer boy, terrific.
All right, I'm kind of with Taco on this one. I hate Christmas music. I'll put a caveat on that. I hate old Christmas music. I like weird
Really?
new. Yes, because I'm tired of hearing that shit.
Okay, tell me what you like that's weird and new,
I mean, I don't
because I'm
really
interested.
listen to a whole lot. Shit. I guess quote unquote new. I remember the Smashing Pumpkins had a Christmas song that I like.
They do.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna write that down. I didn't know that.
yeah. They have a Christmas song.
Okay, I'll check that out.
I don't care what anyone says. I do still like that Paul McCartney one.
Wait, Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time?
Yeah.
You're giving me shit and you like Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time, bro?
You see? And that's how I know it's a good song. Because you fucking listen to Silver Bells and shit, and you got heat for Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time? Hell yeah. It's the polar opposite of all of that other shit that you listen to. The 180-degree polar opposite.
Good.
Like, if you took I want a hippopotamus for Christmas and ran it through an AI algorithm and told the prompt, give me the 180-degree opposite of this song, it's gonna be Paul McCartney's song. It's like, it's got all that crazy ass synth.
If you run I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas through an AI and said I want the opposite of this song, you are getting Christmas shoes.
Christmas shoes.
You don't know Christmas shoes?
I feel like Patton Oswalt had a comedy bit over it.
Yeah, it's like the
But-
tragic song, like
yeah.
the kid's like, please, I just want to buy these shoes for my mom who is in
like-
heaven.
Yeah, I've never heard the song though. I only know of the Patton Oswalt bit.
Yeah, that bit is really funny though.
Lulu, hey,
It's
welcome
really
back
cute.
to the stream. Passionately
Lulu.
hate Christmas music. It makes me literally rage. Oh, she did that in all caps too. Lulu's coming
Yeah.
for your neck. You better watch out.
Yeah. You better not cry. You better not pout, and I'm telling you why.
Oh man, embarrassing. Embarrassing. Okay, but hey, you know what? We all have our guilty pleasures.
It's not guilty. I'm not guilty.
Oh, but it should be. You should
I'll tell
feel
everybody.
guilty.
I'll tell everyone.
Christmas music makes me want to paint the snow red.
Oh my god.
All right, that's a.
I'm gonna
that's a
send you
little-
a picture. I'm gonna send you a text of my best Christmas look ever.
Your best Christmas look.
Give me one more.
Well, that's different. So, okay, if we're
So-
talking like encompassing the entirety of what the Christmas season is all, encompasses.
Yeah. And about it.
I'm okay
So
with
here's
certain
my-
elements.
Let me give you the backstory.
Okay.
So when I was in college, I was in choir, and we were actually doing an opera for part of choir, and then when the opera was over, we were going to move in directly into, we had to do the Christmas Pops concert and then Christmas Vespers service. So we had like the little poppy stuff like Jingle Bells or whatever, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and then we would change into like fancy dresses and sing the like religious songs that went with like a Christmas service.
Yeah.
Right. So our choir director is like, here's the thing, for Vesper service you're gonna wear your choir dresses and your pearls, and then for Christmas Pops you can wear green, red, gold, or silver. It doesn't matter what you wear, because Royal is going to out Christmas all of you. And the girl who turned the pages for the pianist turned around and looked at me in the choir room and said, I'm going to out Christmas you this year. And I said, it's on. And I went to my mom.
I think this is
and I was
literally
like,
the plot
"This-
of like Jingle All the Way, or not Jingle, Deck the Halls. I think Deck the Halls with Matthew Broderick and Danny DeVito. I think this is the plot for that movie. But continue.
That's it. So I went to my mom over Thanksgiving break and I'm like, Mom, this girl said she's going to out Christmas me. Does she think I'm playing? And Mom's like, what? My mom was a hairdresser, and she's like, when I went to hair school, I always wanted to make like a little headpiece that was a mirror with some little ice skaters on it. And so we made a Christmas tree hairpiece, and I had a little mirror in the front with little ice skaters on it. I just sent you the picture.
Oh
And then I showed up in this whole thing, and then that girl was only wearing a plaid bow in her hair.
Wait, what the fuck? Oh my goodness! Look, okay, can I show this?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, let me see. Let me see if I could actually.
I don't know if it will.
I might have to dim my screen a little here.
Look at this. Beautiful. Amazing. Terrific.
You can't quite make it out here, but like you've got like this weird Christmas tree hat. It looks like a party hat.
It's
but
hair.
It's what?
Hair.
It's
like it's braiding hair wrapped around a styrofoam cone.
Oh, okay. And then you have the ice skaters right here, right? On a mirror?
Mhm.
Is that a mirror?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a mirror. So it looks like a little like frozen pond.
And you've got like
This
Christmas
is my mother's
tree ornament earrings.
Yeah, they lit up.
They lit up? Okay, that's
Yeah.
kind of awesome. I admit that's pretty awesome. And I also like the fur trimmed coat you have too.
It is a complete fur coat. Like
It was a
from
complete
thrift
fur
store.
coat. Okay.
Yeah.
Is your hair
And I
dyed?
was turned out. Yeah, it was when I had like the bottoms were teal.
Yeah, I could kind of make that out. Okay, well, you know what?
I like-
That's
Yeah.
well. Again, there are elements of the Christmas thing that I could be on board with, and if the fashion is right, I can be on board with that too. And I have to say, the fashion was pretty on point there. Good job.
Thank you.
Good job.
I had a green sequin skirt and like a red top and a jingle bell necklace also. I wish I had a full picture of it, but I don't think I have like a full body photo.
Genetic Memory Farms, welcome back to the stream on YouTube. He goes, lol, she is a Lifetime movie. Yes, very much so.
Amazing.
Lulu, mom loved Christmas. She died late December, worked 10 years of Christmas and retail, which created another level of fury. Then my dad died on Christmas Eve because that's the kind of guy he was, making us have to talk about him every year at the holidays. I do not like
Oh
Christmas.
my gosh.
Okay, well, fair enough. That's a reason enough for
I think that like the segment about like my dad died on Christmas Eve because that's the kind of guy he was, making out to talk about him every year. Yeah, I would also be livid.
Yeah.
I would be livid.
That's pretty brutal. But
Yeah,
she also
that's, like,
says
because like there are people like that in the world, and so I respect your upsetness about having to deal with that.
But she also says, I do costumes though. That's awesome. So there you go.
Thank
Another
you.
approval of your
Yeah.
Christmas costume there.
I
Taco
have
Taco
abundant
says it's
holiday
cute, but she
cheer.
still doesn't like Christmas.
That's fine.
And Genetic Mary Farm says it's
More
fantastic.
for me.
There's more Christmas for you.
More
The only
for me.
Christmas I don't ever really do. I mean, my family does Christmas stuff and I do things with them, but like they always want to like coordinate costumes and shit. And
Like
I don't
pajamas? Like your family wants to do family pajamas or something?
they do pictures like that where
That's so cute, dude.
I don't think I mean I don't have them posted anywhere, but like the closest I have is like when I was holding this black Santa Claus while I looked like Black Santa Claus.
cute.
Which is like that's as much as I get.
This is the cute. That's cute. I love that for you.
I'm not you know, like
Every Christmas, I go outside, start a fire in the fire pit, and squat in front of it and eat a cake with my hands.
there is nothing better than being in front of an open fire in the middle of the cold. Like, there's a real primal. I get that. Like, of all the insane things you've said in my chat throughout the years, Toaster, that's like one thing that I fully and entirely understand. Like, being in front of an open fire.
Devin really said chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Jack Frost nipping at your nose.
No. You don't have to roast chestnuts. Just the open fire. Just open fire.
And Jack Frost nipping at your nose. Otherwise, you're just an open fire in Texas.
No, well, I mean, I'm also
said in the
I'm also
cold.
I'm
There you
also on
go.
board with that. An open fire in Texas. I'm a pyromaniac, basically. So
Oh my god. the only thing you like about Christmas is seeing your family. I could do without them.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Wait, hold on a second. You could do without your family? But, like...
At
you-
Christmas? I don't know.
There is a... How is it that you have all of this Christmas spirit, like, with the playlist and the costumes, but, like, the whole... from my understanding, the whole point of the holiday season is, like, family and togetherness, and so...
I want to be together, but
It's not with your family. Okay, you know what?
it's
Fair
like,
enough. Fair enough.
The last time I had Christmas with them, it was the whole, like, my mom was in, like, the most rancid... My mom will be in a really rancid mood because she's left something until the last minute and she's pissed off for some dumbass reason. And it's just like...
Do they do Christmas at
exhausting.
your mom's house? Is it like a family Christmas
Like,
there?
well, no, we do it... Well, here's the thing. Like, we used to do Christmas at my grandmother's house when she lived in South Carolina with my grandfather before my grandfather passed away. And they had bought a large house in South Carolina so everyone could come for like Thanksgiving and Christmas and have a room to sleep in and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then after my grandfather passed away, like it's a big house. And my grandmother's like, look, I can take care of this house in this yard or I can have a life. So she sold the house and like moved to, like Southwest Florida or like to the Tampa area. And lives in like assisted living. And so now no one has it at their house, which is dumb because like clearly like not my mom couldn't have it at her house because it's too tiny, but
Yeah.
like one of my aunt or one of my uncles could have it at their house, but they don't. And then like my mom is always like, there's always something. Like my mom is a procrastinator. She always leaves something to the last minute. There's always something happening that's making her mad for whatever reason. And so the last time I went to Christmas, it was like fine, but it's just like the last time I went to Christmas, right? My aunt had ordered custom ornaments of like a picture that her son had taken or like a picture she had taken that's like the sunset over the river and then like there's like a silhouette of a person in a boat and she's like, oh, that's your cousin, that's true. And the people didn't like, she got it through like one of those services, was it like Snapfish or whatever, and they didn't send it. And so she's like, hey, I never got this. And so they sent her like 7 of them or something. Like a ton. And so she gave them to everyone because she had like 7 of them. And my mom's like, why does she think we want this like ornament of her son? And I'm like, Mom, she has 7 of them. Like, what else is she gonna do with it? What do you care? Like, cool it.
So wait, so it's just okay. I guess maybe if you have a family that might be prone to drama, that might be
And it's not anyone else. Like the rest of they're fine. It's just my mom is like crappy or whatever. Or like if she is crabby, then it like I'm the one who has to hear it, so it rocks my vibe a little bit. Everyone else is fine.
Lulu says, I performed at a Christmas event this year and I went as a version of Mammon, the demon of greed. That I guess that tracks for Christmas. Was your costume appreciated? During that eclipse, I set fire outside. I spent the entire eclipse looking at it and playing with this coolly twisted stick I found. You're living a very primal life over there.
Oh, yeah, did you watch the clips, Devin?
I did, but Austin was directly in the path of it, so I just walked outside, looked up at it a bit with my glasses. I had the glasses, although I didn't need the glasses because there was so much cloud coverage that like it wasn't a threat without glasses.
Really?
Yeah. So every now and then, when like the clouds would dissipate, I would put my glasses on, and then when the clouds would cover it up, I'd take it off, but I could still see it. So I looked at it for a bit, and then I went back in the house.
I looked at it. Like, we weren't in totality, but
Yeah.
I could see it. And everyone was outside looking at it, so that was kind of cool. And then no one else had thought about it, and so I was like, passing my one pair of eclipse glasses around to my coworkers. Like, have you seen the eclipse? Here, go outside.
The in-laws and my family all come to Colorado for Christmas, and that's it. I don't care about gifts or all the stupid songs or the decorative stuff. Christmas in Colorado sounds awesome. So that's pretty cool. I
would like to like host it.
You like to host it?
I would really like that. I would like to host a Christmas for sure. And I have before with like a friend, but I would like to like.
I mean, do you like hosting big events?
Like, yeah.
Okay.
I like having like a dinner party, so like a Christmas is perfect.
Okay, fair enough.
Because we had it one time at our house, and it was great because like we had space, like we had a decent sized dining room, we had a decent sized dining room table, and then like I was working at Target then, like seasonally working at Target. I think it was like not the Christmas of the pandemic, but the one right before.
Yeah. And
so I had a coworker who had just moved to Pittsburgh or something, didn't know anybody. So I was like, you can come to our house. And so that always feels good. Like it feels good to me when like someone is like, I don't have plans.
I forget that you lived in Pittsburgh. That's such a weird thing.
I would like to.
You didn't pick up yins.
No.
You didn't pick up yins. So that's why it doesn't stick in my brain.
Good. I want nothing to do with it.
Families are sometimes terrible to be around. Wait, hold on. Families are sometimes terrible. Be you, appreciate, and that appreciate you. I think I get what you're saying, Genetic Memory Farms. The performance was for the Christmas Party networking event for Amazon's top sellers, so yes, my Greed Demon character landed. All the more better. Christmas in a place where edibles are cheap and plentiful could be key to keeping everyone in a good mood. Also a good point.
That's a very good point. Maybe that's what my mother needs.
Yeah, get your make your Christmas cake or whatever. And just stuff some edibles in there. Just get everybody feeling really good. Feeling really mellow.
A little microdose.
Just microdose the holiday season away.
Oh my god. Speaking of microdose the season, get a load of this. So for a really long time, my sister works in the marijuana field, basically. Like in California. And she's done that for years. And so my mom, of course, is always like, please do not tell my mother what you do for, tells us to make some shit up or whatever. Tell your grandmother that you farm blueberries or some whatever bullshit, So we did not have Christmas as a family last year. Like my mom and my aunt were with my grandmother, but my sister and I were not. And so I called my sister and I was like, look, let's 3-way call mom and Nana and get it over with. So we 3-way call them and my grandmother's like, well, Bambi, what are you doing? What are you planting? What's growing over there? What is your farming? And she's like, marijuana. And my grandmother is like, your cousin bought some marijuana for me once in Colorado, but it just didn't really do anything for me. Bought her an edible or something at the fucking, what do you call that? The
dispensary.
The dispensary, and I'm gagged. I'm just on the phone
Your grandma's like, I need something stronger than that. Yeah, I took a tab.
It was just we spent all this time lying for my mother, to make my mother feel better about her kids, and Nana's just out here oh yeah, I did that. I did that once. Your cousin gave some to me. I'm like, oh, this is cool. All right, great. Just okay, Nana. Thank you. Yeah, that's probably the best thing you could say about Pittsburgh is it's a place.
It's a place.
And,
fair enough. You know what? I noticed that 12 minutes ago, Toaster hit me with the VIP me. Oh, so I guess I have a VIPing to do. Let me see if I can get my epic music up here real quick.
Not
So I
to
could
be confused with peeing on stream.
Wait. No, I'm not gonna pee on Toaster on stream. This isn't Kick. We don't do that sort of thing over here.
Pee me.
All right. How about this? How's this sound? Come on, play. All right, Toaster. I'm actually kind of surprised it took you this long to hit the VIP there, because I know you've been here long enough to accrue the points for it, but nevertheless, here you go. You have been knighted as a VIP of the channel now. Huzzah! Congratulations. Hell yeah. Alright. Enough of that. Anyways, yes, we should all microdose and then have like a holiday adventure together.
I would be into it. Remember that one time we I don't know if you do, it was a long time ago on Facebook, and I was like, Chat should get back together and we should go to the Cherry Blossom Festival in New York. And then like something happened.
Well, you know that I'm trying to go to Japan in June because
that's right.
Lauren is going to be there, right?
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, get there, get over there.
Get over there.
Yeah, get over there. I'm trying to get people to go over there. Like, what?
I don't have a passport yet.
Everybody is saying this. The passport thing. The passport thing. I thought you traveled. I
got a passport in 2010 so I could go to Brazil for school, but I haven't. I let it lapse and my name changed, so I have to get a new one, and it's just something that like because that's the only place I've ever been.
You know,
like,
I actually mentioned that on stream the other night. Like,
cross my mind all the time.
I've never actually talked to you about your name change. Like, I knew you for years under one name, and then suddenly you were being called a different name. But I never like asked or anything about it. I was just like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll call her this now. So like, yeah, it was. I never really knew if it was like something you officially did or if you just, you know.
I did.
You did.
I did it in.
When was that?
2021.
2021. Okay. Cool. Well.
Yeah, I think.
What prompted the name change?
No, I think it was 2022. It was when I lived in Kentucky because it was cheaper. It was way cheaper in Kentucky than in Florida. It's like $400.
$400 in Florida?
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah.
I didn't know it cost that much.
It depends on where you live. It depends on like the state and the county, because the place where like I went to college, the closest, like a lot of places in Virginia are unincorporated cities. So like Lynchburg is an unincorporated city, and so if I got my name changed in Lynchburg, it was like nothing, like $50 maybe, you know. Yeah, in Kentucky I think it was like $150, $180.
Oh shit.
Yeah, but it's super expensive in some places. So
I'm actually at 175,500 points. I just never thought to do the thing. You know what? Because you said that, I'm going to create a reward that costs like 200,000. I have a bunch of X-Men figurines. Yeah, you get 200,000. I will put your name on an X-Men figurine and then put you on a display behind me. So keep those points. We should watch When the Wind Blows together sometime. It's one of my favorite movies. I've never even heard of that. When the Wind Blows.
I would be down to like rent a cabin in a place where it would snow and host Christmas dinner. I'd be down for that.
Make a plan. I'd travel for it. For sure.
Okay.
We can imbibe and
I will-
watch what? Koyaanisqatsi together on the internet. What's up, Haunted Wisp? Welcome back to the stream. I have no idea what the fuck that is, but okay. Okay, Scorpion, get over here. Get over there.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking when he said that. Was also Scorpion.
I also do not have a passport. I know so many of you motherfuckers don't have passports. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm Mr. Worldwide over here, but 180 plus 60 expedited fee, 5-7 weeks. Yeah, for the passport, to get the passport expedited here. Yes.
When I did, when I had to go to Brazil, like for school, we missed that window of 5 to 7 weeks, and we had to go to Washington D.C. and get the same day one for like $250.
You can wait a same day passport for $250.
Mm-hmm.
That's a deal.
I think I think we still had to make an appointment, but you have to go in person to like the office in Washington D.C.
Well, yeah,
like,
but I mean,
you
I
have
had to go in
up there
person to
and be
get
like,
my passport.
but like, yeah, I think I don't remember it because but I did like get up at like 4 a.m. and ride with someone up to Washington D.C. get our expedited passports that I barely remember. And, like,
well, I mean, I think like
exhausted.
if your passport lapsed within a certain amount of time, I don't think it's that much to get a new one. I think you can.
It's not expensive. It's just something that like it's not at the forefront of my mind.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I got you.
does not get done.
Well, I mean, hey, regardless, you should still host your Christmas in a cabin somewhere. You know what
Yeah, I would
what
like
state
to
I
do that.
recommend for that?
Tell me.
Idaho.
Why Idaho? Tell me more.
A friend of mine's mom worked at a cabin during the winter there. Worked at a resort kind of place, and it was absolutely gorgeous. Like, Idaho has a lot of beautiful scenery that nobody really knows because nobody ever thinks about it as a state, and rightfully so. There's not much going on in Idaho. Nobody remembers that it's a state, but it is a state. There's a lot of beautiful wilderness out there, and it gets really pretty during the winter when everything's covered in snow. It's got that Pacific Northwest pine tree forest and all of that. And I think it's still, because it's Idaho, I think it's relatively affordable.
Nice.
So look into it.
Well, I will
into
definitely
Idaho.
keep that in mind. Yeah, we definitely need somewhere where it's a guaranteed snow. I feel.
Let me see.
Which is hard to do in these days of the climate change.
Well, you're about to get guaranteed snow in Texas because of climate change, so.
Buddy.
Yeah, it's got all these mountains and stuff.
I was so upset that year when y'all had that freeze and like all the power went down and like.
Why were upset on behalf of us?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was mad as hell at Ted Cruz and all that shit.
Oh, it sucks. Let me tell you, that was not a good time. I was at my friend's house.
Mad as hell.
Every house around us lost power except for us. We were the only house that still had power. And we kind of felt guilty about it. But like, we thought ours was going to go down at any given moment. Our streets were all iced, so we couldn't go anywhere. I remember I did brave the dangers of going out to check on a local grocery store because, we didn't anticipate the freeze being as bad as it was, so we were running out of like stuff. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go see what's going on. So I drove real slow. I don't have like a four-wheel or anything. It was a Hyundai Sonata, not exactly an ice trekker. But I drove real slow. The roads were really shitty. And I went to the nearest grocery store near me. And it was like, it was crazy. It was wild. Like, you know, it's not like people were acting like animals or anything, but you know, there were a lot of people there, and like the shelves were bare. You know, it was hard to find anything, and people were in a pretty desperate situation. I will say that the response from the community, like there was a lot of engagement on the local activism front, as far as like shit, the word is escaping my mind. Fuck. There's a word for what I'm thinking of, but there were a lot of
like mutual aid.
yes,
or-
mutual aid. There was a lot of mutual aid activity going on that actually did a really excellent job of both gathering provisions and dispersing it in a really quick and equitable way towards people who needed it. I was really impressed by
That's
that.
nice.
Yeah. So like there was
That's
definitely
good.
a bad
That's good to
thing,
hear.
but there were some good things that, you know, were exposed as a result of it. But we just got a warning from ERCOT, our power grid operator here, warning us that the increased temperatures in the coming week will threatens our power grid, basically. So like the increased
Oh my
demand
gosh.
for, you know, people using their air conditioning might cause our grid to go down again.
How hot is it getting there?
Not that hot. Which I think this is like conspiracy theory corner for me. Like I think that this is just them trying to scare people into being okay with being price gouged, because another part of what happened during that freeze is that power companies were price gouging the ever living fuck out of people. Like, so people were getting insane energy bills. And I think that they're just doing that again. They're just trying to scare people into being okay with a price hike.
Paco, are you in Canada? Is that where it's snowing? Like, I saw someone who, like, one of my friends lives in Canada, and it's snowing there. Like, they just got snow.
Genetic Memory Farm says, "No way, weed is still illegal in Idaho." Well, we'll bring it. We'll just mule it over there. It's all right. You know, we've got some teddy bears we can shove it in the stomach of. I went and stayed at a cat rescue on a hospital block, so we still had power. That's one way to do it. I think our power grid may have been connected to like an emergency service grid, which is why we maintained power. That was totally avoidable because Texas has chosen not to connect to the national grid or follow national standards. Yes, both of those things are true. And we still haven't done either of those things. I mean, El Paso is connected to the grid that California and all of them are connected to, which is why they didn't have any issues. But the rest of Texas, not so lucky.
Wow.
Our power went out the night before last. Oh, really? Well, I wonder if that... Really? Your power went out the night before last? Huh. It's not like there have been any storms or anything. It's snowing right now. Taco's in Colorado. And I remember a couple years back, it was snowing in like May in Colorado.
Wow. I lived in Albany for a winter, like half a winter, and we got a ton of snow, but my friend who lives there now says like that it barely snowed this year. And that it's been like a very like mild winter.
Hold on a second. I'm gonna send this to you, Royal.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm ready.
Oh, let me see. Where's my
It's not as
I sent it to you. I sent it to
I
you
wished it was.
in the Discord. I want you to mark everywhere you've lived.
Okay.
And while you're doing your homework here, I'm gonna catch up on the rest of chat.
Okay.
It's already 97 degrees with humidity here, and this week 97. Is it that much? Maybe for whatever reason it didn't feel like it was quite that hot to me, but I mean that would explain why they were warning about the increase on the grid. Although next week it looks like things are cooling off quite a bit, quote unquote, quite a bit relative to fucking 97 degrees. Let's It's currently -4. Oh, that's Celsius. That's 25 degrees in freedom units. I mean, that's still pretty damn cold. It's 25 degrees right now? True, El Paso is smart.
Freedom unit.
They're so far isolated from the rest of Texas that the rest of Texas doesn't really regard them as like a city, which is what saves El Paso. El Paso just kind of being out there is their saving grace. Dallas, Houston, Fort Worth, San Antonio, all that shit, Austin, they're screwed because they're the heartland of Texas. Texas can no longer connect to the national grid because it hasn't been maintained in years, so it isn't up to the national grid code. That sounds right too. She is Albany, New York. Yes, I know Royal lived in New York for a while. It really
I
doesn't
lived
get
in
past
New York
75
City
here.
for 9 months, and I lived in Albany for I think 3 or 4.
Did you live in New York City the same time Lauren did?
I did not live there the same time she did, but I was engaged to someone who was from Brooklyn, and so I would go up there on breaks from college, and so I saw Lauren. Actually, Lauren was there like the night I got engaged.
Oh, really?
Like, she went with me on New Year's Eve. Yeah. It was slightly awkward.
Wait, why was it slightly
Well,
awkward?
It was slightly awkward because I had another friend from like a separate like friend group, I guess, and so we were all there together at this bar, and I was scared that my other friend was like at the stroke of midnight I was worried that he would like try to kiss Lauren.
Oh, no.
Like out of nowhere. And so I was just a little slightly stressed about it.
Why were you worried? Why were you
happen.
worried he would do that?
I don't know. I just was like, because he could be very like impulsive in that way. It wouldn't have been like something where he was like trying to be a creep or something. It's just like something that at that time he might have done, if that makes sense. It doesn't sound right without like making it sound like a creep, but just I don't know.
Fair enough. Okay.
I don't know. But I was just
you were
like,
getting the vibes. You were getting those vibes.
No, I was just kind of anxious because it was like, you know, when you have friends who like you might be friends with them, but you don't know how they will interact when thrown into a social situation together. So it's kind of that too, because it's like the first time they met each other. And it's like, you know, you don't want that conversation to like go sour when you're like trying to hang out for New Year's Eve, I guess.
Yeah. Wow. I can only
Is
imagine.
that your map?
This is, yeah, well, of all the states I've lived in, yes. And there's a caveat for Alabama. Like, I lived in Alabama for like 3 months. So I don't even know if.
That's fair.
Yeah, but.
I think that counts.
Born in Georgia, grew up a little bit in Colorado, mostly in Japan, then back to Oklahoma, and then Texas. So that's all I've lived in here in the U.S.
Yeah, when I met you, you lived in Oklahoma.
Yeah, it was not a fun period of time. I was born in the desert. I grew up in the desert. I went to Albany a few times, heading up to the Adirondacks. Adirondacks. Is that a mountain range? What is the Adirondacks? Yeah, okay, it is a mountain range. Okay. I know it's also a type of chair too. Texas seems like it could be a cool place.
My map.
Okay. Texas seems like it could be a cool place, but it seems very contradictory in some ways. Freedom, but not for hippies and women and commies. It depends on the part of Texas, kind of. Like, Texas, like, there used to be a type of hippie, like a Texas hippie, that was... I mean, that used to be the mascot of Austin, is like the grimy Texas hippie. and those dudes were pretty chill. Like, they were basically like, I don't know what they were. They were almost like a anarcho-libertarian slash socialist weird kind of thing. They were this weird blend of like dude that wasn't quite like, I don't know. It's weird to place. It's weird to place them where they were, but you know, they were definitely left on the spectrum, and they were plentiful, and they were unwashed, and they loved granola, and they loved playing disc golf at Zilker Park. So a lot of that kind of bled away when the tech bros took over Austin. It doesn't have that old school Texas hippie vibe anymore. Willie Nelson is the preeminent Texas hippie, you know. So like, there is that. I don't know where those dudes in Texas live. I know they're still here somewhere, but you know, you have those guys, and those guys are fine. There's plenty of people in Texas that aren't like evangelical conservatives. It's just that evangelical conservatives never shut the fuck up. Texas, Maine, Massachusetts, Colorado. It is. I've done a lot of camping and hiking that way. We have Adirondack chairs that I've made. You know, you were offended by the term elf earlier when we were talking about the Christmas stuff because you're only like 4 feet tall. But dude, you're making axes, you're making chairs. Like, you might be an elf. Austin is where all the woke and soy libs live in today's economy. At least the perception of other Texans. Got run off to Colorado. Got run off to Colorado. Colorado's too expensive. Like, that was another point about Texas hippies, is they existed in droves in Texas back when Texas was significantly cheaper to live in, or at least when Austin was significantly cheaper to live in. Colorado has much the same problem, so I doubt they moved there. They moved to Wimberley. Yes, that's true. Wimberley is, and maybe this speaks to a different kind of political evolution, but Wimberley is also big-time Trump country. My sister shot a commercial for a whiskey company out there on a ranch, and I went to accompany her, and just driving down there were just Trump flags all fucking over the place. Like, I haven't seen so many.
Oh my god.
Like, yeah, if the hippies went to Wimberley, then they all became Trumpsters on the way. It's called skill. Fine, fair enough. I won't take your skill away from you. I'm just noting that that it is akin to an elf's ability. All right, let's see. New York, Pennsylvania. Okay, wait, yeah, Pittsburgh. Maryland. You lived in Maryland.
I did.
Where at in Maryland?
Potomac, Maryland. Real Housewives of Potomac.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I lived with my cousin. I was taking care of my baby cousins for a little bit, so I lived in Maryland.
Okay, and then Virginia as well.
I went to college in Virginia.
Okay, so what they call that area the what is it, the DMV?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you? I guess you've been to DC. I guess maybe you didn't live there, but you've been there at least.
I didn't live there, but yeah, I've been there.
Okay, North Carolina, Kentucky, I was aware of. Georgia and Florida, and then California. When did you live in California?
For kindergarten. My mom, my dad lived in LA, and my dad wanted to live in LA, and so after I was born in Georgia, and my mom and dad moved out there, and when I was about 5 years old, they divorced, and mom took me back to Florida, and dad stayed in LA.
Okay. The interesting thing.
I went to kindergarten. I went to kindergarten in Los Angeles, and we lived like in Gardena, California, which is like right outside of Compton, basically.
Oh, wow.
So sometimes I think about like what would have happened if I like either if like my parents would have stayed together, or if like my mom would have like stayed in LA instead of like taking me back to her parents' house or whatever.
You would have
Kind
been
of
you would have been a
crazy to
crip.
think about.
You would have been a crip. That's what would have happened. The funny thing is, like, you have all of this going on here on the East Coast, and then you just have California on the West Coast, and that pretty much encompasses the same landmass. Like, it's almost the same thing.
It feels weird because because I've spent so much time in South Carolina because
Yeah.
my grandparents live there, and so we have family land there, but I've never actually lived there.
Well, what's
so it
the
feels weird
longest-
to like leave it out?
What's the longest period of time that you were in South Carolina? Like, the longest stretch of time?
Probably a week.
Oh, okay, so you just weren't there. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, when I was
Yeah,
in
no, it's
Alabama,
just
I
like-
was there for 3 months, so I considered myself
Yeah.
having lived there.
Yeah, if I got mail there, I would consider myself having lived there.
Well, I was too young to get
But-
mail, but
I was not getting mail in South Carolina. Yeah. Yeah, I
okay.
spent a semester in North Carolina because I went. That was my first div school go round. So I was in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
All right, I'm sending you the places you visited in the world one now.
Oh,
Got some more homework for you. I don't
nowhere.
know where. You said you went to Brazil.
That's it. Brazil and Puerto Rico, which doesn't really count.
Deep Texan. Oh, don't sell Puerto Rico short like that.
But it's a territory of the United States.
I recognize them as their own country.
That's fair.
If they're
like,
not-
I support that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, it's
If they're not going to
Like-
be a U.S. state fully, then they need to be their own country. Deep
yeah.
Texan
I
voice.
think they should.
Don't waste your time on that sissy wide stuff. Get yourself some whiskey. You know what? It's funny that you think that, but it was kind of the opposite. Like, the whiskey that she did a commercial for was like, it was like Gen Z hipster whiskey that they were trying to portray as like rugged outdoor whiskey. So like the whiskey itself, it came in like this neat kind of tin, the kind of tin that paint thinner would come in. Like, it was like a paint thinner can because they wanted it to look rugged. And like the commercial that she was in was all about, you know, it's all of these rugged outdoorsmen and they're on ATVs and they're hiking up the side of a hill, and you know they've got their metal canteen of whiskey and they're doing all this rugged outdoorsy stuff because Texas, right? But it was all like, you know, people who were, you know, at least 10 years or more younger than me and incredibly well groomed, well manicured. Like, it was like they got off the
Wait,
set
is
of like,
this like? Can we watch this commercial? Is it like on YouTube?
she sent me a link to it a while ago. Let me see if I could find it and share it. I think she may have sent it on Instagram, if I'm not mistaken.
I cannot believe, by the way. I feel like when I left Instagram in like 2019 or 2020, like I deleted it because it was like the moderation was so strict. And now
It
I feel
is
like I
pretty
see stuff
strict.
on Instagram and Facebook that's just like insane.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like just like which I'm not opposed to. Like I'm like, ah yes, this is yoga, but it's like some lady in her underwear like thrusting in the camera.
Oh yeah, my
I'm
Instagram
like, ah,
my Instagram algo is destroyed for horny posting, basically. There's a
yeah,
lot.
that's all I use it for.
There's
That's
a
all I
lot on
use it for.
Instagram for that. If you
Yeah, but Instagram also shows me like octopus reels.
octopus
So it's just
reels,
like-
what?
Hot babes octopus reels. And
Oh
that's
no,
it.
that sounds sketchy. You've got like a hentai feed going on or something.
No, it's like, like watch this octopus change color. Here's my oceanography feed. Like that's what I get suggested, my suggested for you. Yeah, Taco,
Okay, hold
it's
on
not
a
worth
second.
having Instagram unless you want to look at a big old biddies. Which I do.
Because you're an American. All right, here's the
It's
commercial.
my right. Oh, good. I can't wait.
I don't think I could change the volume,
There's
so
no
it
surprise there.
might be loud. I apologize if it is.
Secret location. That sounds sketch.
That was my sister that just dropped the thing into the. You see what I mean, though? Do you see what I
Can I
mean?
see it? Show it one more. Will you show it one more time?
Yeah. I'll mute that because that's pretty loud. But yeah, they've got like they're all out there. They're ATVs. But look, these guys. Look at these guys. They've never fucking hiked a day in their life. Are you kidding me? Like, but that's what the canister looked like. You can see a picture down here of it too. Like you see, it's like in a paint
Oh
thinner.
wow, yeah. It looks
Which
like
is-
lighter fluid, yeah.
Yeah, which I guess is kind of cool. It's neat as like a novelty, but it's overcompensating. Like I feel like this is visually overcompensating, and I've had the whiskey because they gave like free of them. They gave free things of them out. I had one, but the one they gave me was like apple flavored or something like that. It was pretty fucking disgusting too. So it wasn't exactly
Apple, like
yeah, because like a lot of their shit is flavored.
oh,
I don't know
like
if they
Crown, I guess.
kind of like
The
Crown,
bourbon.
yeah,
That's nasty.
yeah, and you see they're all drinking out of like those old timey
The little
looking,
metal cups or
yeah.
whatever. The little tin cup.
And I don't know why this guy is chopping wood with an axe like he's living out in the fucking cabins. It's like, come on, man. Really? Yeah, like that's the whole vibe of it was just kind of a little weird. Like I don't know what they're all doing. They're like, yeah, that was I missed her again. That was my sister just dropping the thing, but whatever. You get the point though. You get the point of what's
gosh.
happening here.
Why did they give her 0.01 second of airtime?
Well, I think there may have been a couple of different commercials from this shoot, and I think she may have been featured just as briefly, but in those other ones as well. Because I know that in one of them, we went to a barbecue place, barbecue joint out in some town out there that I'd never heard of before. And kudos to them, they bought my lunch, so that was cool. But they also, after everybody ate, they filmed some stuff there so they could show like, hey, we're going to this rustic, authentic Texas barbecue smokehouse out in the middle of nowhere. So like there's a commercial of my sister and these people at that barbecue joint too. But
wow.
yeah.
Taco says that person has bad wood chopping technique.
Has bad wood chop. I bet. Like, look, I'm telling you,
His
none of these
technique is
people
off.
have done any of this shit at any given point in their life prior. My sister included. I know her ass isn't out there fucking chopping firewood. Are you kidding me?
So wait, is your like when you told this story, like initially, I thought your sister was like in production, but is she like a model? She's an actress? Like
Oh yeah,
is
she's been
is that
both of
what's
those
going on?
things. She's been both of those things. Yeah.
That's cool.
My Instagram is titties and kitties. Likewise. And that's all it really needs to be.
That's really all it needs to be.
Yeah. I don't know how we got sidetracked to this commercial, but I'm glad I watched it again.
Because you mentioned it because you were saying that there used to be Texas hippies and now
Oh yeah.
everyone is, you saw a bunch of Trump flags. My mom,
Out in the area that we shot this in, yeah, this is definitely
Yeah.
like in Trump country.
What's your bracelet?
Oh, hey, you know what? My friend who has since I don't know, she's like a super diehard Swiftie now. I don't know how that happened, but she's like psychotically obsessed with Taylor Swift and
Oh
all of that.
no.
And she's going to see her perform in New Orleans later this year and all other stuff. And apparently something that the Swifties do is they make friendship bracelets and then they trade them. They just trade them with one another at shows and whatnot. So she's like making a bunch of friendship bracelets. She made me one. Oh, let's see if I can expand this for the I don't know if I'll be able to show it, but it says Yield
Oh
Nerdcast.
nice.
It says Yield Nerdcast on it. I guess I can't really get the
That's terrific.
lettering.
I can see it.
Yeah, it looks better on my wrist. But she also has like
It looks great.
the colors that I have in my logo.
Yeah.
She has them here, the yellow and the purple. So yeah, she made this for me, and I like it, so I wear it now.
Terrific. That's awesome.
I should have her make more and then like sell it as merch. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of Taylor Swift, like I have no like opinion or whatever of Taylor Swift. I have no no skin in the game in terms of Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
But I spent today like reading 13 pages of ONTD comments about how her new album's leaked and it sucks. And I was just so entertained. Like I feel about LiveJournal the way people feel about Twitter, which is I'm never leaving this site and this place is free.
Yeah, whoever leaked her album is they're gonna be in a world of hurt here soon.
It's so funny. And then like some people are in the comments and they're like, when I was a kid, we pirated everything. And these kids are like, I can't tell you the link because Taylor doesn't want us to leak her music.
Oh yeah, like
She's like, what the fuck is wrong with kids these days? I used to be able to go on Tumblr and find the link for all the leaks. What the hell? It's so funny.
if there is
I'm just
one
enjoying
person
it.
that you should be okay with like pirating shit from, it's Taylor Swift.
Taylor
'Cause,
Swift.
like she's a literal billionaire now. So yeah, I guess
Yeah.
pirate away. Like it was definitely much more of a thing like in the old Napster era where, you know, the artists would make more of a plea for like you know, clawing back whatever residuals they could from some record deal that obviously had them bent over a barrel, which is ironically enough like you know, if most people pirated music today, it probably wouldn't affect artists that much because most people listen on Spotify and Spotify doesn't give them shit anyways. So
Yeah.
what's
What
the
do they get,
difference
like a
between
tenth of a penny or something?
yeah, there's like no noticeable difference between pirating or getting something from Spotify. So
Hmm.
dude, you say that like 90% of Texas isn't Trump country. I mean, it isn't. I mean, there's a significant portions of Texas that are Trump country, but large quantities of the population live in the major cities. You know, Dallas,
As someone who
Fort
lives in
Worth.
Florida, it's really kind of surprising to me how much people like think that when you're from like a swing state or a conservative state that like everything is terrible all the time or that like when
Yeah,
it's very like especially like in the cities where you and I live, like you live in, like we live in pretty like blue cities. So it's kind of business as usual. Like you're just kind of going about the day and then it's not like someone is like hate criming you on the street, thank God. Not yet anyway.
for the most part. But I mean, there's
Uh,
definitely it's different in Florida than Texas for now. But I mean, it's still
It's
shitty.
just like it's a yeah, like it sucks. Like, do I hate Ron DeSantis? Absolutely. But like does it affect my day-to-day life? Like as I go to work and whatnot? Not really. Um, you know what I mean? Like it's just
Well, I mean, the abortion issue has affected a lot of people's day-to-day lives here. Like
yeah,
that's
absolutely. And
a
it's the same
legitimate
here.
thing. Yeah. So like
Yeah, no, I'm
I
not
don't
saying it's not. It's like it sucks, but like it's just not it's not
yeah, I get what you're
like I
saying.
feel
Like
like people think that we're living in like a Handmaid's Tale
yeah, like
currently
there's this
when it's kind
idea
of like
where oh, you're in Texas, so obviously you know, the majority of the state is just like running you down in a truck
yeah,
trying to like hang you from a tree.
yeah,
And it's like, well, those
when that's
places definitely exist in Texas. We generally
yeah,
know better
they
not to go
do.
there,
And
but for the most part, you know,
mhm,
especially in like the cities, most cities, you know, are overwhelmingly left. You know, like you know, all of our cities are run by, you know, Democratic city councils, Democratic mayors. You know, they gerrymandering changes what the makeup of our House of Representative makeup looks like there, and you know, and our you know, but you know, to counter that point, our states, our senators and our governor, they're elected by popular vote, and they keep winning overwhelmingly by popular vote. So, you know,
that's insane to me.
there are a lot of conservatives here
We've
too.
got
Like it's not a myth, but I don't think it's as like one sided as people might think it is.
and I think that people think that like you are like I don't know, like it's hard because like I grew up in this state. I didn't grow up here, like in this city, but I grew up in Northeast Florida. And it like the environment, like the flora and fauna of Florida, the like nature of Florida is a homey feeling to me.
Yeah,
And someone like got on to me about it one time. They were like, "You can't say you love Florida." And I'm like, "I do love Florida. Like I love the natural world of Florida. That's what Florida is to me. It's not like
yeah.
Disney World. Like Florida to me is not like Disney World. It's not like
I can't let my
Ron
friend that made
DeSantis'
the friendship
policies."
bracelet hear that because she's a Disney adult. She was
Oh yeah, yeah,
she grew up in Orlando.
oh my gosh, I can't imagine. Like I just can't. But like, and for some people that's what it is, and that's fine. Like it's just not like what I like when I say I love Florida. Like that's what I mean, and I mean it. And it was very odd to me to have someone be like challenge
Yeah, that's kind of
even.
a
But
that's
yeah, it's it's a connection to the land in a way.
yeah, and it's kind of shitty that somebody would be like challenging your own perception of the place that you claim to like. Like, why would someone go out of their way to challenge? Like, there's a lot about any place that's shitty that could be not shitty,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Like, there are parts. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm not a big fan of Texas, but there are parts of Texas I like, you know, and I understand why people would like to live here and stay here and all of that. Like, it shouldn't be a mystery to anyone, especially a state that has like, you know, two different coastlines. You know, you get the Gulf
Yeah,
Coast and you get
the
the
Gulf.
Atlantic Coast. You're close to the Caribbean. You can go down to the Keys. You go to the Bahamas and shit like pretty easily.
Yeah.
You've got all of the Everglades and the springs, all the natural springs that are there and shit. Like you got
Yeah.
all the old history, all of the old the cities. Like there's one city in Florida that is like a Spanish city, one of the first Spanish colonies, where all the architecture is like old Spain, and it looks awesome. And I would love to go actually see that and walk around it and shit. Like, and there's a lot of great history there too. So like, it's weird that
Yeah.
somebody would like not recognize that and just like hyper focus on like the current political minutia. You know, it's weird. I don't know why.
Or whatever it is. Like I just think that like people have an idea And I understand, like, in a way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, did you live in St. Augustine? My mom and sister used to live in St. Augustine. It's very haunted.
All the more reason to go there, I
Yeah.
say. I mean, whenever
Yeah,
I
it's
lived in
super
Boston, I was
much.
hate crime numerous times on the street, and Mass is very blue. That's true. I continue to contend to this day that the North more racist than the South. I think the
I've heard
South,
that Boston is super racist.
Boston is incredibly racist. I think the South kind of like
Yeah.
has found ways to mask the racism a little bit. And Southern hospitality is definitely a thing. Like that's real, and like the North has no concept of that. But you know, I also
None.
feel like there is like an arrogance of the North of like, hey, we were on the right side of the Civil War, so we get to be this way.
It's a strange. It was definitely like when I moved to New York City after never like even having been there, it was like culture shock.
Yeah.
To be in that place where like no one cared about you.
So
you
why
know?
is
Like,
Texas
it's
so why is Texas so solidly red, and why are women fleeing Texas for healthcare? I mean, like I said, it's there are still things that
because it's constant like abortion bans. It's
Yeah,
it's
like-
a lot of
there are still things that like affect people's day to day, you know.
yeah. It's
And
just
there's no
like,
denying
but-
that.
Yeah,
But
it's
that's
just it's a. I don't know. I just think that like people act like we're living in like we're choosing to live in a horror show or something,
well, like
or like
That
like, and
reality-
It's like
that reality isn't an indictment of it's not an indictment of the people who live here, because again the overwhelming majority of the American populace, including in Texas, support abortion rights. It's not an indictment of the people who live here. It's an indictment of the people in charge. And you could point to the people who vote for the people in charge, and there's some obviously there's some credit to that too. But ultimately, at the end of the day, there are always there's always activism that's happening in all corners of society for this initiative, that initiative, or whatever, and that's always going to happen so long as you have people who get elected into power that try to push radical agendas like that. But you should always analyze why those people get elected into power, and a lot of times those people aren't elected for those purposes. They aren't elected like for abortion. You see it on the
because
national
they're,
stage.
like,
I mean, you can see it on
Yeah.
the national stage right now with respects to how Republicans are approaching the abortion issue for the upcoming election. Like, they're triangulating themselves into like a crazy position where all of a sudden you have these candidates that are saying that they're pro-choice. Like, you've got like I think it was Carrie Lake who was coming out there saying that she was pro-choice now all of a sudden, when she was one of the biggest proponents of an abortion ban. So like, and then the reason, and Trump too, and the reason they're doing that is because they know that it's an unpopular position, but they were able to get elected for a variety of reasons. Texas, there are a lot of people
that was
here.
not that, because they know that like that's not an electable position to take. It's only electable like for people who are hardcore Catholics. Those are the only people who are supporting full abortion, like full bans on abortion.
There are a lot of
That's it.
people who vote, and they will vote for a Republican. And I've heard it many times. I've had so many discussions and debates about this with people here. They just can't vote for a Democrat. It just doesn't, the ideology doesn't matter. Like, they could agree with me on virtually everything,
Yeah.
but they're just never going to vote for a
It's
Democrat.
just like, yeah.
And it's
I
hard
will
to
say also that like on the when we talk about people in our states who are working, and there was a time where like I couldn't go anywhere, like to a store, or like one time I've been to like a Walmart, Michael's, Dairy Queen, and even the gas station without someone out front with a petition saying, will you sign a petition to put abortion on the ballot so we can vote against the ban?
yeah.
Like, they were out there, buddy. Like, and I was like, I already signed, and they're like, you can sign it twice. Like, they had made it so you could sign. I was like, bitch, I will sign it as many times as you need me to. And we got it on the ballot because these people are out here like taking abuse from strangers who were, you know, mad because someone's asking them to like sign this at the grocery store or whatever. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, like people are out there doing the work to like make the world a better place.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the times when you're crushed by the bleakness of our current situation, it's a good thing to go out of your way to see what local activists are doing, because there is a lot of good stuff happening on the local level, and there's a lot of people that are engaged.
And otherwise, it's gonna like completely crush your soul.
Yeah.
Like completely. Like it's just like you have to find these people who are doing these things, because there are people out there who like who have, you know, because it takes a lot out of me personally.
Oh yeah,
Like
absolutely.
the evil of what these people are doing. Like just everything that's happening is so bad. And
And
like,
yeah, I know, and it sucks because
it's
like
fucking
again,
depressing.
that feeds into your perception of your environment too. Like a lot of people it's kind of the ignorance is bliss thing. Like people that don't really follow the minutia of like politics and all of that, you know, they're more likely to be okay with their surrounding. Like if they live in Texas, they like Texas. You know what? Like, hey, I can go to Barton Springs, or I can go hiking at the Greenbelt, or I can do this, or I can do that. We have all sorts of taco options here. We got the best queso I've ever had in my life, and et cetera, et cetera. So like, there's a lot to like if, you know, you don't, you know, get weighed down by the massive amount of gloom that, you know, the political life can put onto you. Not that I recommend living that way, because you do need to be engaged, I feel, but you know, I think that there is some truth to the whole ignorance is bliss thing. And a lot of people just aren't, you know, as much as we want to talk about, you know, Republicans, Democrats, not left, right, or whatever, the biggest voting bloc in the country are non-voters. You know, most people aren't engaged. Like most people are completely disengaged and just go about their lives, and all they want to do is make enough money to survive and then chill when they're not working and be able to like have a
Which is
vacation and
hard
shit.
enough today as it is.
Oh yeah, it gets increasingly hard. That's what's radicalizing more and more people is, you know, how incredibly difficult it is just to have a normal day-to-day life. Lily says Austin has great community activists, but I might be biased. Yes, you might be. You're right in your assessment, but you also might be biased being one of those activists. I enjoy my quiet life. And I'm glad you do, and I hope it remains quiet and peaceful for you. Right, but it is an electable position in Florida and Texas, but not in New York or California or Illinois. I understand if you have to perceive it one way or another to cope, but it is that bad. Well, I mean, there's truth to like the whole regionality of certain issues, and you know, that's definitely by. What the fuck are y'all up to? Go ahead and eat if you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for cursing at you. Go ahead and eat. Like it's not. It's like, and it's not like a. It's difficult to kind of like parse out how insanely big and multicultural America actually is as a country. It's a pretty insane country. Like, and you've lived in all of these states on the East Coast, and just in that swath of states alone, there's all sorts of different dialects and different histories and cultures and all that other sort of stuff. And you know,
because the United States is so huge, it's the size, you know, like the country itself is the size of a continent.
And
so,
well, yeah, and the history of
there's a lot happening.
Well, there's a lot happening, and there's just a long history of targeted propaganda campaigns particularly in the South. That and like it's a lot to go into right now. It's a lot to get into right now.
Excuse me.
But it's not like it's kind of hard to like. It's not like people in the American South are genetically predisposed to like being pro-choice or pro-abortion or whatever, or anti-abortion or pro-guns or anything like that. It's not a genetic disposition. It's definitely the result of like messaging campaigns and concentrated efforts by a particular political sect that has recognized. They recognize that reaching people through churches is an excellent way to gather voters, and talking to people through their religion. And I don't want to get like super I don't want to sound condescending.
This is something that like
I'm sorry, what's up?
Go ahead. No, go ahead, and I'll just continue when you're done.
I was gonna say I don't want to sound condescending or anything, but like there's also like an unmistakable correlation between a lot of these places and what they invest in social services, what they invest in education, what they invest in the infrastructure that allows people to better foster an environment that allows for the kind of growth and campaign initiatives that would allow them to outgrow some of the more reactionary mindsets that feed into the kind of policies that you're talking about. It's not a mistake that a lot of these states don't fund these things the way that states up north or out west might fund them. And it becomes a feedback loop, like an almost inescapable feedback loop. The only thing that making the feedback loop break down is that the lack of material gain is as inflation increases, as the cost of rent and all of that increases, it's breaking people out of that perception cycle. So like they're starting to just not give a fuck about. A lot of people are just not giving a fuck about issues that they may have went to war over before, because what's the point of getting super pedantic about the right to choose or this or that if I can't afford my next meal, if I can't afford rent. Like all of that seems super academic when my material needs aren't being met. Like that's the only thing that's like starting to shake the I guess death grip on some of this sort of stuff, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's kind of the way that I get it. That's the vibe I get.
I think also that people are less kind of susceptible to kind of propaganda of the American empire in terms of, like this is what's happening and we should retaliate with this, and people are like, no. Like they're like Marsha Blackburn the other day on Twitter was like, we need to strike Iran, and people were like, you are fucking insane. I would say the majority of her comments, like her replies, were like people who were like, no, shut up, girl. And that's refreshing to see, because like as an Iranian kid growing up, like I had no shortage of people telling me they were ready to bomb the place out. So it's nice to see people who are like, absolutely not. Like, we don't need to get into another war. We don't need to do this anymore. Like, you guys are consistently wrong on these points, instead of just being like very blindly.
Americans' perception of
kind
war.
of status quo.
Americans' perception of war is an excellent thing to point to as far as like the dramatic shift from the immediate post 9/11 era to now, because in that era Americans were all about war. Even before, even like whether we're talking about, the first Desert Storm under H.W. Bush or like any military campaign, like America has always been pretty fucking gung-ho about going to war.
And there have been protests in terms of like, even, which I wasn't aware of, like in terms of the original Gulf War, because I was so young when that happened. I think like the original Gulf War started when I was in 5th grade. So it wasn't something I knew a whole lot about. But to like when I'm reading things, like people are like, Yeah, I was out here picketing. I protested the first Gulf War, and I'll go out here and protest the next one. And when that kind of like, and we had this like moment after 9/11 where, and I feel like the United States keeps having these moments of like where the entirety of society could shift in one direction or the other, and they are always picking the wrong direction
Yep,
because we
for the
have
most
these
part.
fucking Republican presidents. So 9/11 like happened. The whole country is ready to do whatever. Literally, they're like, "Oh no, like how can I help?" And that at that point, like if we had had possibly, I'm not saying this is true, but like imagine a world where like 9/11 happens. It's like, "Oh shit, what do we do?" And everyone's looking, and like the president could have said, "Now is a really great time that we should really look at our dependence on foreign oil. How can we stop depending on this so that we're not in these situations or whatever?" The United States would have like, they would have been all in. If he would have been
There's
like, or a victory garden, anyone would have done anything after 9/11. They were like, the United States was like, sign me up for whatever, and they signed them up for another war. And
yeah,
it's the
like
same with the pandemic. Like, if they had done the pandemic correctly, they would have been like, "Oh, we fucked up. Like, society is fucked. This is our chance to like make a better world." And we didn't do it.
well, the pandemic is a big reason as to why a lot of people are not as susceptible to a lot of the conventional propaganda bullshit as they were during the post 9/11 era. And like, yeah, there were a lot of anti-war protests for the second Iraq war. Like, it popped off. That was pretty much like, I
Yeah.
considered myself a conservative, in 2000. And it wasn't until after 9/11 and I started like paying more attention to everything that was happening around me when I started shifting my belief system, just in accordance with what I was actually observing. But I mean, what can I say? Capitalists won the Cold War, so we're living in the aftermath of that. Like, everything,
Yeah.
and even today, like the overwhelming majority of the bullshit that we deal with on a global level and on a local level is all the results of like all of the major countries being ran by right-wing shitbags. Whether it's right-wing shitbags running Russia, right-wing shitbags running Israel, right-wing shitbags running, any fundamental, like if you're a fundamentalist of any religion, whether it's Islam or Christianity or anything, if you're a fundamentalist, you're a right-winger, and you're not good. So any
Yeah.
fundamentalist,
And that's something like, that's something I was like, that's what I was going to mention earlier. And it's something that I was talking about a lot today, actually, because it ties into the class that I'm taking. And it's something I've been having a lot of thoughts on, which is that, we have this like, because I'm in divinity school.
Yeah.
I'm not a Christian. I'm looking at this from like an outsider's perspective in a way because I was raised as a Christian, but I left Christianity when I was a teen. I never went back. So I don't have like necessarily the context for the Bible that like I read it as a kid, but I don't know the ins and outs of it in the ways that some people do. And so, like, to look on it with a fresh set of eyes and be like, oh, like, these people who are so loud about being Christian, like these, fundamentalist evangelicals,
yeah,
they're loud and wrong. And the reason that they are that way is because rather than stand behind this, like, message of Christianity, which is actually, like, very radical,
extremely radical.
It's extremely like in ways that like I had no concept of because these are not like emphasized, and instead like, but what is emphasized are these texts that people use to like bring people down or to bring people shame. And so one of the like I'm gonna give you a quick example. So the text that we're reading in this class is Galatians, which is a very short section of the Bible. Paul's letters to the Galatians. And in the letters to the Galatians, he says, you guys are very concerned with being circumcised. You don't need to get circumcised because Jesus Christ died for us. Because the Messiah came, we no longer have a need for a disciplinarian. That was the point, was we were promised the Messiah's come. We no longer need the Jewish law. If we still need the Jewish law, then Christ died for nothing. So if people are going to go around and be like, Leviticus says this is what it says in, Deuteronomy.
Yeah.
It's canceled out.
Old Testament.
But that's not, it's canceled out because of the sacrifice of Christ. However, does that help you maintain power over someone else? No. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So these kinds of and that's why these religions are so widespread, and it's not because they're inherently good or because people are spreading the inherent goodness of them, although that does happen. But a lot of those a lot of that spread is through empire, a lot of that spread is through colonialism, and it's to maintain power over someone else.
Absolutely.
Rather than
especially
have this equal ground.
Especially in a society that is a quote unquote free democracy. The church is an excellent mechanism of which it operates kind of like a private business, in that there is a leadership structure that isn't voted on and isn't held to account by a body of electors or electorate or anything like that. So it operates as a private company in that regard, even though it doesn't get taxed like a private company does. But it takes money from the federal government. It takes tax revenue all the same, and it feeds people into the government system. So it's just a mechanism, but it also is an operation that fosters community. There's no question that if there's any benefit that organized religion has, just naked of its intention, it's community organizing. I mean, that's what the civil rights movement was built around. The community organizing that Black people had to do in churches because they weren't allowed, pretty much to gather anywhere else. So and it's an interesting thing to think about, religion, even in this modern era, is still used in the same way that it was used when the King of England answered to the Pope.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's dressed up a little different, but it's ostensibly the same. Only now, especially in America, it's different. It's almost like there's a bicameral, a new bicameral government, chamber of governance, where it's one chamber is the church, and the other chamber are oligarchs, corporate oligarchs. Yeah. And those two are, in addition to the Senate and the House and the judiciary and the electoral, the executive branch. There's now this other bicameral branch that contains the church and oligarchs.
And I was saying this earlier too, which is that in Judaism, it is for you to read the text, the Hebrew text, the Hebrew Bible, the Torah, Pentateuch, all those things. To read that, interrogate it, make commentary on it is a scholarly pursuit. In Islam, it's kind of similar. You were expected to know the text, read the text. If you were a convert who doesn't know Arabic, it's very encouraged that you learn Arabic so that you can read the Quran in Arabic. That tradition of reading and, interpretation of the text is super important in those traditions. But there's a moment in Christian history where the layperson did not read the Bible because they could not read it.
Yeah.
It was in Latin, and there was someone who read it to you, or someone who preached it in church, and that was the way until the Bible was translated into the Vulgate. And it was also the way in the United States before enslaved people were allowed to read. And so that's another way, because like, if you're not looking at it yourself, if you can't interpret it yourself, if you can't question it and interrogate it yourself, you just have someone else's word to go on.
Yeah.
You know? And so I think that's like, that kind of like section of Christian history is really important, because I think it did give people a power to be like, well, I'm the authority, when, you know, you need to be using your mind. You have to like remind yourself that like, while someone may be like an authority or an expert on the text, like, you also, it's your duty to interrogate that text.
But the guy has a fancy hat. So like, how are you gonna challenge that? I mean, I always adhere to the person with the fanciest hat, okay? Like, you've seen my assortment of hats. I've got hats out the wazoo. But if somebody outdoes my hat,
like
then
hat.
they
I got a this is my homework hat.
You have a hat with a pinwheel on it? Or is that just like a bow or a ribbon?
Oh, this?
Yeah.
It's a bow.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like a pinwheel. Let me catch up.
That'd be cute.
Let me catch up on chat real quick. Let's see. If military spending wasn't astronomical, we could be better off. Yes, but it also depends on what we would use those resources on. So, like, I'm not entirely.
Oh, you gotta.
What's up?
You gotta hats off to you, Redeem.
Oh, okay. Hold on a second. I came to America shortly after 9/11. Poor timing on that one. It was not fun. USA people can't be united without a common enemy, sadly. I think that's true. Late stage capitalism. This is where the wheels come off. The wheels came off a while ago, but I mean, I don't know how that's going to manifest as we continue to fly down that road wheelless. Real Christianity is basically socialism. Yes. I mean, it might be something even more radical than socialism. Honestly. But yes, Jesus was definitely the prototype for a socialist movement. I grew up Catholic. I was excommunicated when I was 24. Jesus Christ. What does that even look like? Is there like a ceremony for excommunication, or do they just send you a letter that's like, don't show up? Like, what does that even look like? King James wrote the Bible to say God chose the king rules the priest rule the man, and men rule the women. It was a tool of oppression. That sounds accurate. It sounds like what the hierarchy would have been. But also, it wasn't just men that ruled women. There was a hierarchy within that too that involved whether or not you owned land, because those guys had special ownership privileges too. Not a whole lot of people owned land. The church was very much involved in that too. I'm happily an agnostic atheist now. Community organizing can be done without the church, colonizers' influences. If we want to be able to work across multiple communities, secularism has advantages of being impartial to religious groups. Yes, but black people in the civil rights era did not have very many opportunities to engage on that level publicly. Like, that's the issue. Like, without email or Instagram or something, organizing with your community involved meeting in public. And meetings in public that weren't at a and churches weren't immune. Like, churches were burned regularly during the civil rights movement. I mean, before the civil rights movement too.
There were a lot of like things that were happening, like with the Black Panther Party. Like,
yeah,
the Black Panther Party is an example of community organizing that happened in person, and they did so much. And to think about like how much the Black Panther Party did just in a time when like all you could do was call someone long distance.
Yeah.
You know, like you either showed up in person or called them long distance. Like wrote a letter. You know, like that was about it. So yeah, it's crazy, and they were under constant surveillance by the government. Like it's not, you know, it was not necessary. It was the right thing to do, but was it safe for them to do? Absolutely not.
No, I mean the feds killed Fred Hampton. You know, so like clearly it was not safe, but yeah, it was effective too. It was,
and they did so much. Like they were feeding people. It's something where like is that kind of community organization possible without religion? Yes, it is possible. But is it something that is like going, you know what I mean? It's one of those things that's like, it's very easy to start that kind of organization in a church, because that is part of the deal.
Well,
and,
I think,
you know, in the best parts of things, like, yeah, that's part of churches, living in community. And so those people who need to eat are your community. But like, is it possible outside of church? Yes. Is that necessarily going to happen in certain communities without it? Maybe not.
Yeah, I think it's probably more likely to happen now than like 30, 40, 50 years ago. Because the internet
it's much easier to organize people now.
Yeah, the internet has kind of desecularized a lot of aspects of our global community. Yeah, that's when Catholics and Protestants went to war, because Catholics didn't want people to read the Bible and Protestants translated religious text. That was the era of Bloody Mary. Let's see, I was mailed, and you would think that I did something bad. Oh, they did send you a letter. Well, according to them, ladies kissing other ladies is not kosher. I don't know if kosher is the terminology that the Catholic Church would use, but I get what you're getting at.
However, I will say that because Catholicism is its own thing too, because there is like, it's not to your discretion. They have ceded authority to the Pope, but at the same time, like, if adherence to Jewish law is all of it, then the sacrifice is for nothing. At time.
All right. I found, like, so I became a straw hat by the grace of the sea. I was swimming in Playa del Carmen in Mexico, and this hat just floated up to me. And I was like, what? And I looked around to see whose hat it was, but nobody was around. So this hat chose me. So I took it back home with me. I don't know if I could wear my headphones and this hat at the same time, but I'm going to try. So this is the Hats Off to You award. Right, but with the decline of religion in America, it is way more effective to be secular. If you want to bridge groups together, many people do not trust religious organizations that aren't theirs. That's true, but I mean, again, this is just a function.
That's true, and it's fair.
Yeah,
and the reason that people don't trust those organizations, and a lot of people, like, especially people that I like, not necessarily people I know, because I know like a lot of the people I know are people I went to divinity school with, like people who are like very progressive Christians. But the people who are not like religious in any way that are my friends, they don't have a huge awareness of the fact that there are progressive Christians, because the people who are loudest about being Christians are the people who are like the least Christian people on the planet, who are just like, as my professor would say, using the Bible as a baseball bat instead of as a catcher's mitt.
yeah.
So, and that's kind of like the burden right now that religious people have to bear, is that because these fundamentalists are so loud and they hold so much power because they do. Like, people think that everything is as corrupt as that, and that ain't the case. It ain't necessarily so. Like, even for me, like, someone who was a religion major in college, like, who was not Christian, like, I still didn't realize that there were, like, Christian congregations out there that affirmed transgender people.
Yeah.
Because how would I know that? And it's like, it's surprising to people, but I have to say that, like, to people who, like, because there are people I knew who, like, were like, I grew up in the church, but, like, it was not an affirming place for me because I was trans or because I was gay, and so I left. But it would be like, but I missed having people to hang out with. I miss God, or whatever the case may be for them. And I'm like, well, there's a place for you. Like, someone out there has a place for you.
Yeah.
It's just not the place where you grew up. But people are very, like, have that religious trauma, and it sucks. It's because life is hard enough. Like, if you want to have, like, that kind of, like, religious spiritual community, you should be able to have it.
Yeah, as long as you aren't actively attempting to harm someone, I don't have a problem with religion. Like, don't hurt people and don't try to force people to do something they don't want to do. If you follow those two conventions, then I don't care what you do. Worship whoever or whatever you want to worship. Create your community. Go nuts.
And I think that for people, though, who, like, are so used to whatever it may be, like, whether it's, like, Christians or Muslims or whatever, that, like, feel that if they grew up around people who were, like, insistent on controlling other people, like, through religion, then they are suspicious of religious people.
Yeah.
Regardless of their, like, it's not even, like, something where you are, because I'm in that category too. Like, it makes me suspicious when people are, like, overtly Christian.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you, because people who are overtly Christian are loud about it, like, my first thought is, are you a bigot?
Yeah.
Which it shouldn't be that way, but it is. And it shouldn't be that way. But because people are so loud about oppressing other people, that's how it is.
It looks like a hat that I used to own. I mean, maybe it's your hat. That hat is awesome. Thank you. I like it too. It's too small, so, like, right now it's kind of crushing my skull. I'm gonna take it off in a second, but I'm wearing it for a little while. I don't trust any religious organization. I'm kind of with you on that. I am personally against all religions, but not against all religious people, if that makes any sense. I guess I'm kind of that way. It just depends. It really depends on I don't even know if I would say I'm against all religion.
Did you grow up in any religion? Like, were your parents religious?
Yeah, I don't know what kind of Christian, but they were Christian. I mean, we went to church on a base which was omni-denominational, so, like, it was intended to be more open and accepting of different things, because that's what the military is. It wasn't, they didn't just take Catholics in the Army or the Air Force, so the church services had to be that way. Once I moved out of my parents' house, though, I just didn't go to church and never had an inclination to. I guess I studied on my own, a little bit of, Catholicism, Buddhism, practiced Buddhism for some while. And I probably liked that the most because, like, it offered me a way to, like, practice its teachings as a philosophical thing and not so much as, like, a religious thing. But I don't know. The concept of religion doesn't speak to me, but I don't inherently take offense to it. I do take offense to its manipulation. Like, I guess it's the people that I dislike more than the religion. If that makes sense.
Astrology, Hogwarts houses. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is like people making sense of the world and finding refuge in suffering, for sure. I think that's, and I think especially, and like, and for a lot of people, yeah, like that's what they want is a comfort.
Yeah, I mean, everybody
And
wants the
people,
world around them to make sense because, I mean, as insane and psychotic as the world can be at times, it's kind of
yeah,
terrifying if it doesn't make sense. I mean, that's why
it
conspiracy
is,
theories
and
have so much traction, because conspiracy theories
yeah,
offer people,
or
you
an
know,
attempt to make sense
not
of the
necessarily the
world.
smartest people, but it offers some people a mechanism for, making sense of things that don't make sense for them. And like sometimes I think about, like, if you were a fucking, 2nd century bean farmer living in the middle of, like, Sumeria or something, and you look up at the sky, at the night sky, and you see, like, the fucking cosmos. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, enough of that hat.
You see the ghetto of the Milky Way.
You look up at the ghetto of the Milky Way, and you see, like, a mosaic of stars and fucking quasars and shit just painted across the night sky, and everything is all bright and shit, and like, it just looks like the most majestic thing you've ever seen in your life. But, like, it's 2 BC, or 2 AD maybe, or whatever it might be, and you have no concept of, like, no real working concept of, like, science or anything like that, and even philosophy is just, like, not a thing that, anyone that's outside of, like, academia.
I mean, you can't really think about, like, the greater workings of the world when you were hunting and gathering.
Well, yeah,
Like,
but
to
then what are
live.
you
You're like a nomad in the world.
but what are you supposed to think of that world when you look up at the night sky and see that shit? Like, that's got to be something otherworldly, right? That's got to be, like, God. That's got, or Father Sky, or whatever the hell you might, whatever iteration of a cosmic deity that your culture might call it. Like, it's what makes the most sense. And then if you share those stories, with friends, family, you pass it down to your children and their children, and they share it with their friends and family and build communities around it, then it makes total sense that, people of that era would harshly believe that sort of thing. It's like, I understand.
And there's something to be said too for just telling a story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
especially if those stories can be
is.
used to teach people lessons. I mean, that's kind of one of the debates, right? Like, if the Bible is literalist or if it's like an allegory.
I mean, I think that any kind of story like that is going to be a little bit of both. Like, there's a story, and I think also, like, that's what a sermon is. Surely, when you go to church, it's like, here's the story from the book, and then here's how I apply that story to my modern day life.
Right. And that's the kind of services that I grew up going to.
You can't take the Bible literally.
But there are a lot of people that do. And
there are people who say that you should, but they can't read. I'm so sorry. I'm not sorry at all. But like,
if you're having a discussion about religion in our society and its influences, then you have to recognize that there's a huge swath of people that are literalist.
There are people who are literalist, and they think it's like, and infallible and whatever. And here's something that I learned really recently, and it's really helped me it's helped me, and I wish I could help a ton of other people too. But it was like a chapter in a book that our professor had us read, and the lady was like, there are a lot of people and they read the Bible and they have a lot of questions, and then they're like, is this historically accurate? Is this word for word? Like, is this X, Y, and Z? And we have these ideas of like, and one of the things that she talks about is like the idea of oral history, and how modern day people think of oral history as like a very long game of telephone, but that's not what it is. But you know what the conclusion is at the end is that the Bible is revelation, and it's revelation on how people act in relationship to God. It's not revelation on historical accuracy. It's not word for word. It's not revelation on anything but like how people relate to God. And that's it. Like it is not meant to be anything else. It's the revelation of God's people and how they're to relate to each other. It's a handbook of that relationship. And so
I think
once
that's
I
a very accurate
read
thing.
that, I was like, oh shit, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Like if you look at it as like, how do I use this book to know how to be in communion with God that I believe in? There you have it. If you're using it as like a history book, it is not going to work out for you.
People are using it as an
If you're
instruction
using-
manual. Like I mean,
Yeah.
you can talk to the people
it's
that
an
are shipping
instruction-
fucking red heifers off to Israel right now, you know? Like,
Yeah, but it's like,
those people are like,
But is
okay,
it,
step 1 on
you
the
know-
diagram says, you know, and
yeah. Is it an instruction manual for like how to build a tabernacle so that you can have a relationship with God? Yeah. Is it like a history book? No.
no, they think it's an instruction
like-
manual on
is it
reigniting
Yeah, they
the
do.
second coming. You know?
Yeah. Which is funny too, like when people bring that up, because it's like people like talk about the rapture, which is not like a biblical concept. It's just something people made up. It's like basically fan fiction for the Bible.
It's 50 Shades of Grey for the Bible.
Well, I mean, that one guy did write that really long Left Behind series, and that was his little fanfic, but it's
Yeah, I
weird.
forgot all about Left Behind. I practice Buddha
Good.
all the time.
That way.
Indica, Sativa, hybrids, all the Buddhas. Religion can help people be much better, and it can pull people out of really bad places in their life. Yes, I fully agree with that. I believe that we have in our, I believe what we have in our life can be beautiful enough, and even if we don't fully understand, that's okay. We are only small, insignificant, fleshy things. Okay, you kind of turned into a mutant supervillain at the end of that, but that's okay. We are insignificant.
No.
We are only small, insignificant, fleshy things. I spent the entire eclipse imagining my ancestors just absolutely shitting themselves for 4 minutes, thinking the creator had put the cosmic
The
chairs
cosmic
on
chair
the table
on
and
the
locked the
table
door.
and
Yes,
locked the
exactly.
door.
Imagine being a fucking 2nd century bean farmer and seeing the fucking eclipse happen. Like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna fucking take your firstborn and throw him into a volcano. You know? Yeah, like,
Oh my god.
know?
Yeah, it's scary as hell. I
but
can't imagine, like, just like being the first person to see something.
yeah, you
The
probably
horror that you would feel.
you probably go insane.
What is that? Yeah.
But
That's
that
kind of how I
being
feel now.
a small, insignificant, fleshy thing is what makes us special. I kind of agree with that. I mean, I guess
Lord
as a life force,
gracious.
a human being's existence compared to the life of the planet is about 40 seconds. We are a mustard burp in existent, tangy burps momentarily with some. Wait, hold on a second. Did you just eat something, Genetic Memory Farms? Did you get some mustard-based barbecue sauce that is coming back around on you? Because of all the places in the universe, all places in time, we are still in. We are in this one. It's got to count for something. Yes, it counts for. It counts for something. But that's. I mean, I guess that's the root. That's the root of all of this. Is what does it count for? Like that's the whole. That's the whole.
And
Why
how-
are we
and
here?
how
Question.
do we make it count?
Yeah.
How do we
And to
make
that
it
end,
count?
when you were talking about COVID earlier, like, I think the pandemic really kind of shook people out of whatever weird trance state that society has been in, as far as like the marching in the machine of, you know,
Yeah.
go to work, go
Yeah.
home, go to
The rat
bed,
race,
wake up,
yeah.
go to work, go home, etc. and realizing that life is A, super fucking fragile, because, you know, people all around him were getting sick and dying. And B, is about a lot more than just going to work and going home and going to bed and shit. Like, and before you know it, you're old. Before you know it, your beard looks like this. And like, I've spent 20 years of my adult life just doing the same rat race bullshit with, granted, I have more to show for it than I think a decent amount of other people. I mean, I have a house, so.
You got more to show for it than I do.
Well, you know. It's all luck of the draw. That's the other thing, is like, you know, somebody gets lucky here and there. Yeah, they don't tell you that because they want you to think that, like, if you work hard, then one day it'll be yours. And it's like, no, no. If you work hard, you just make somebody else a lot of money, and then you die a pauper. You know, and I think that's a part of like
war slap out.
Yeah,
burnt out war slap out. What was I gonna say? Yeah, it was the moment, like, because you, like, I feel like it was like the whole world got like put on pause.
Oh yeah, it did.
Like, you were on pause for a minute, and it was like,
and it broke a lot. It broke a lot of people's brains.
Don't have to do this. I remember, like, I wrote, like, I was making at the beginning of the pandemic, I was making like a little one of those mini folded zines every day of like what was going on, because there's nothing else to do. And I was like, this is really something. Like, another world is possible. We don't have to do this. Like, we can come out of this and we don't have to do this. And then this became this like narrative of just like, well, we have to keep the economy going. And I'm like, there is no economy if we're all dead, idiot.
Yep.
Like, we cannot keep the economy going on skeletons. Like, and people just should have said no. Fuck off and send me my fucking money. And let me sit in this house. But no, we had to divide everyone on whether or not being sick was real and whether you should wear a mask and protect your fellow man and shit like that. It's just insane.
Yeah,
I mean, we dropped the ball, dude. We let the team down. Not like us personally, but like as a society, we dropped the ball.
Yeah, I mean, there was a like, there's like a certain. It's kind of it's hard to quantify because it also exposed just how fragile our ecosystem actually is. Because, you know, there's a real, it takes a lot to keep, I mean, at the end of the day, the main thing life is about on a tactile level is eating food, because we all need to eat to survive. Like, if we don't eat, we die. So everything is about finding some shit to shove in our mouths, you know, and, you know, hopefully we could find something to cover us from rain and whatever in the interim, but, you know, irrespective of that, we gotta eat. And so, like, the entirety of our society is predicated around finding ways to keep everybody fed. And all of our infrastructure that has been built to meet those ends has been built in the most capitalistic, pro-profiteering kind of way, in which the pandemic really exposed the fragility of that system. And you know, that whole, we have to keep the economy running, I would say that, you know, a large part of that was driven by people that just didn't want their profits to be hit by, or their investments to be hit by, you know, an economic downturn from people trying not to die. That was definitely a driver. But I think a huge part of that was also, if, you know, we can't produce food at the level that we need to, then that's going to cause a revolution. People will starve. There will be a lot of social unrest as a result of that. And then people will take a look at the society that we've built for ourselves and realized it's better to just burn it all down now. And that's what I thought, like, when the George Floyd protest popped off, I was like, oh shit, it's beginning. like it's happening. Like, this is it. Like, this is it. Everything's gonna get burned down. I mean, it didn't quite happen that way. Actually, ironically the opposite. Like, they acted like the George Floyd protest was going to be a sea change in our economic and governing structure, but in fact, nothing happened. Absolutely nothing happened as a result of those protests. So, you know, take that for whatever it's worth. But yeah,
I will say though that there was something that I saw on, I don't know if it was Twitter or Blue Sky, but it was actually that in terms of social movements, the only social movement that influenced people to vote differently was Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, it did. Well, I mean, it did get people to vote differently, but then it also exposed, like, in a lot of respects, the efficacy or lack thereof of strictly relying on electoral politics. I mean, there's a lot that goes into enacting social change, and I think that the angst and unrest that happened around George Floyd was lashing out at the complete and total lack of action that all of the previous, because Black Lives Matter, that happened years before COVID. That was during the Obama administration.
That was like the
Michael
Trayvon Martin.
I think it was Michael Brown. I think Trayvon Martin kind of started it off, like the awareness of it, but I think the actual like birth of like the movement was
Let
Michael
me check
Brown.
really quick because I had to read about it for class last week.
Oh, okay. I'll catch up on chat then. Let's see. Joe just gave me a Revelation sparkling water. It's a sign. It's a sign. You're about to be raptured. Let's see. Yo, Joe, Joyker. Welcome back to the stream. How are you doing? It tasted like an AI tried to make those flavors based on what Wikipedia said. Sounds disgusting for a water. Life is based on finding stuff to put in your mouth and finding someone for your little buddy. And I got the horror down my throat. Kinda sums up conservative Christianity and politics. Let's see. Something happened. We are still working on it. It takes time. 4 years and the court dates are just happening against the cops. I testify for the DA in June for what they did in March 2020. Yeah, I mean, there's progress that happens, and it is slow moving, but a lot of the time, like, that's the thing, like, you know, if we want to go to war with the country 3,000 miles away, it can happen overnight. Like, you know, we could move mountains in a heartbeat for things that we actually want to do. But for things we don't want to do, all of a sudden it takes fucking years and years. Like, you know, it should not have taken 4 years to have, you know, a court date for what happened in March of 2020. But all of that shit, you know, and what happens to the social, what happens to the hunger of society for change in the interim? Do people still have the heat for that kind of change in 2024 that they had in 2020? No, because that dissipated. Like, the movement was crushed. Like, that movement was effectively crushed, you know. And I don't mean to sound defeatist, and I know that there are still activists that are working really hard, but there is no denying that the pepper isn't there from the broader society that was there during 2020, you know. And there's a reason why the saying "strike when the iron is hot."
People got really desensitized. Yeah.
You know, strike when the iron hot is a saying for a reason, you know. And unfortunately, that iron has cooled. And that doesn't mean that we still can't get, you know, make progress on it, but, you know, we got to be real about what's happened.
Up again.
Yeah, we got to be real about what's happened to the movement. Like, you know,
So Black Lives Matter started actually, and it was not after Trayvon Martin was murdered, but after George Zimmerman was acquitted of his murder. And that's so 2013-ish.
Okay. When was the Michael Brown stuff? When did Michael Brown happen? August of 2014. Okay.
Yeah, so they kind of like people were already upset about that, and then that really like I feel that was I was really paying attention to that too. I was tapped into the Ferguson protests all the time.
Yeah. I was too for a while. I mean, there was a lot that, I mean, it was Ferguson, it was Freddie Gray in Baltimore, I believe, Philando Castile in Wisconsin. I mean, there was a lot that was popping off all over the place at that time that made it. That was the crazy part about it, is it was like, you know, a lot of the discussion around it was, you know, it was people going, like, on the one hand, it was people going, why is all of this happening all of a sudden? This is crazy. It's like an epidemic of cop killing. And on the other hand, it was the black community going, motherfuckers, we've been telling you that this has been happening all along. The only difference is we all have iPhones now, you know? So like, it was kind of like the revelation of those two worlds that came to like a fever pitch during George Floyd. But now it's at a point where it's like, is it back to being accepted? You know, police killings are still happening.
Oh yeah. No, I think like honestly, like since then, I feel like for sure cops get a lot more heat in terms of and especially like what I think is especially something is that guy who was the star of that show Reacher.
Alan Rickson.
Who made a statement that like he's like, cops are out of control.
Yeah, that
guy's
guy's
away
been
with murder all the time.
That guy's been popping off.
Yeah, he popped off. The cops like were like, "Oh, you shouldn't be talking like that," blah blah blah. And he's like, "This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is exactly like you guys are like you shouldn't be responding to people in this way. You're just like blowing a bunch of smoke up everyone's asses." And for someone who's like a celebrity like that to first of all like say something like that and then not like back off of it and issue a shitty apology and just like double down on it is like something unheard of, I feel.
Yeah, I wasn't aware
especially
that
someone who's the star of a show that like every like MAGA person is in love with.
Oh, they hate him now, which is awesome. Because I've always liked Reacher.
That rules.
Like Reacher is like propaganda for sure. But I've always enjoyed it. I liked Tom Cruise's Reacher movie, the first one. I haven't seen the second one, but the first Reacher movie that Tom Cruise was in was awesome. You know, I liked it, and I liked the Reacher show. So, but the interesting thing about that is like there was a activist Olean, I forget, I don't know how to pronounce her name. New York activist, a public defender.
Yeah.
Who did that interview with Eric Adams on The Breakfast Club. And
gave
like
him the shit, like
she
like did not let up.
She roasted his ass, you know. And Eric Adams, of course, is a former cop, you know. So like he had all of the police talking points and whatnot, and she just roasted him. But then after that interview, like the police union were harassing Ole on Twitter, like they were going after her. And it was like, this is pretty fucking crazy that like, you know, the police union are, you know, harassing, like targeting activists, you know, in public. Not like, you know, they aren't usually, you know, they're going after activists, you know, as they're, you know, on the streets protesting or something. But like to try to intimidate them and shake them down on social media in front of everybody was pretty telling. And, you know, they got their asses roasted for the attempt too. Like obviously she didn't buckle to it or anything, but, you know.
Oh yeah, no.
You know, it was just kind of like, you know, it's kind of weird that like, you know, they go out of their way to try to publicly harass Alan Rickson and Ole like that.
Yeah,
let me catch up on this chat
well,
here.
I think also I feel like they know they're. I'm gonna pop this in the Discord chat.
Okay. The killing of minorities by police and law enforcement in America has been happening since 1492. Cops have no chill. No, they don't. We're only now in a day and age where it's easily known, and individuals who want different can push for change. Yes, that's true. And I guess maybe we're still kind of in the infancy of actually having the power to make that change manifest, which I guess maybe is where my frustration comes from, because I want it now. Maybe this is why I should never be president, because I would be immediately authoritarian, as an anti-authoritarian, just because I don't have patience. The day I went on the DA's witness list against police, they tried to get warrants issued for my arrest. Luckily, the judges saw through the BS and didn't accept the warrant request. That's awesome. I'm glad that happened that way. I had police try to intimidate me many times in Boston too, especially in my career field. Oh, for certain. I can't imagine the intimidation that they would, give a journalist. Okay, quote, "This kind of emotional, immature response is the epitome of what concerns me about law enforcement." Is this Alan Richardson? What concerns me about law enforcement today? If this is how leadership handles a peaceful disagreement, what does life look like for those unseen interactions in the street? Well, yeah, we've seen it. That's with all that cell phone camera.
We have, and like, I appreciate this guy who is like, basically, this is like the essentially like textbook, like, here's how to use your white privilege to be a better person.
Well, that and his celebrity. Like, the first thing that got people upset about him was there was a picture, like, months and months ago. There was a picture of him wearing a shirt that said, "Arrest the cops that killed Breonna Gray." And, like, people saw him in that shirt and they, like, got really pissed off about it. And, like, there was one contingent of people that were mad he was wearing the shirt and was, like, didn't want him to get political and all of that. And there was other contingent of people that were, like, they thought, I guess they thought maybe the shirt was, you know how, like, Cafe Press has a model that'll wear a shirt that they're not actually wearing. They just kind of superimpose it on them. I guess there was a contingent of people that thought it was something like that, so they didn't really say, oh, he doesn't really believe that, or et cetera, et cetera. But now he's, like, voicing his opinion, and it's like, oh, no, this motherfucker believes it. Like, he's in it. He's real. And I appreciate that he's willing, because, like, it's not like he's he has some fame and notoriety now because of Reacher, but it's not like he's an established...
He's not like an untouchable...
Yeah. No, he can be touched.
And even someone like Mark Ruffalo is having issues where they're, like, canceling shit for him.
Yeah.
Because of his support of Palestine.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's a... Like, and I'm not... Like, obviously those are not the same things, but... It's, something to think about. Like,
pretty related. They're pretty related. When you consider how much of our police force, including NYPD, is trained by the IDF, it's pretty related.
And how much that like their entire kind of, it's like not like their, I guess, like, whole operation is also, like, based on, like, they are interwoven.
Yeah.
Where do cops end and the IDF begin, etc.
How dare celebrities have political and humanitarian views?
People hate that, don't they? Isn't it weird? I think it's so weird because
they only hate it. They only hate it if it's their opposite view, like.
Yeah, but I mean, it's funny to me because I'm like, yeah, they're people too.
Yeah, of course.
Some of them are dumb as shit, but, like, yeah, of course they have political opinions. They're people too.
Yep. And I never want to, like, I try not. I don't think I've ever said a bad thing about James Wood. I don't want to get into, like, whether or not a person that has political beliefs that I disagree with, should be allowed to work in Hollywood. I don't think that at all. I mean, people should be allowed to have their job, even if they have, like, a shitty, so long as they aren't actively hurting someone, like, they should still be capable of, like, getting cast for something and pretending to be an X-Man or whatever it is, But that doesn't mean they should be immune for criticism. And it also means that people need to recognize that a lot of these businesses are privately held for-profit companies. And if they don't want to associate with someone that's saying something crazy on Twitter, then they have the right to be like, you know, you no longer work for us. I mean, that's just...
Speaking of saying stuff that's crazy on Twitter, who is this guy? Is he like a... What is his name? Aaron Rodgers? The guy who's saying that, like...
Oh,
the
yes.
government
Oh,
invented
boy.
AIDS or something.
That, yeah.
Is he some sports guy?
Aaron Rodgers, yeah, he's quarterback for the New York Jets. He was a longtime quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. He went into a cave and did some ayahuasca or something, and then when he came out, his brain was completely and totally melted out of his ear. And he's been
because of the...
I'm
because he went on the ayahuasca quest?
I'm guessing so. That's my best. That's the best guess that I can have. Because like, look, hold on a second. Let me see. Do they actually have a... They do. Okay. Damn, I just stopped sharing too. There, let me share again. This is my one. All right. Can you see the screen here?
No, I see a little thing that says watch stream. Wait, do I have to click that? Oh, wait. Yeah, never mind. Sorry. Oops. Okay, yeah. Oh,
So
look at this weirdo.
the darkness retreat that Aaron
What?
Rodgers spent 4 days and 4 nights in Southern Oregon is reminiscent of a hobbit cave. On Wednesday,
I do weirdly remember hearing about
yeah,
this.
he went to an isolation room for a few days, like, and they have like
the
the
fucking GIF
Yeah,
on
look
the
at
left
this.
side of the page.
the what?
Bitch, what? So the little GIF on the left side. Of him, like, emerging.
Aaron Rodgers emerges from darkness retreat as Packers decision looms. I like how he's popping out of a gopher hole. But I hadn't seen a picture
Yeah.
before. I guess that's what it looked like.
That is an outhouse.
It's an outhouse built into like the side of a hill of like a witch's. This is like a Blair Witch forest too. There's definitely something weird going on inside here.
Yeah. I 100% threw the map in the river.
A darkness retreat is an isolation experience in a soundproof space devoid of light that lasts for a certain amount of time. Although the facility is out of cell service
He
range.
absolutely went insane.
Yeah.
He absolutely went insane.
It has Wi-Fi and other emergency resources. The door remains unlocked so guests can walk out at any time if the retreat gets too intense. There is a bell inside the dark room that the guests can ring for additional support. Sky Cave Retreat says most retreatants typically sleep more or less for the first 24 to 48 hours.
I heard that, like, in a soundproof place, that people can't take it for more than, like, half an hour.
Yeah, like,
Because you can hear, like, the blood rushing in your head and shit.
yeah.
Like, I think the longest someone has spent in one of those, in, like, a soundproof room, is, like, 45 minutes. Or 30 minutes or something. Yeah, if that guy spent 4 days and 4 nights in there, he is out of his tree.
Did he? I don't know if he did. I feel like he talked about. Rodgers has previously discussed using ayahuasca. Yeah, I think he did it. Yeah. In a retreat during the offseason, the NFL confirmed this didn't violate its drug policy. According to Sky Cave Retreat's website, Berman has supported the facility over 300. Okay, well, I don't know what Berman is, but I guess he did do ayahuasca.
I don't know if the, like, ayahuasca and the... Because I feel like if you combine the ayahuasca with the darkness retreat, that's a problem.
Yeah, I feel that
But
too.
if they're separate, then it's a different thing. But that can still, like...
I mean, it's a psychedelic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I don't know. I feel like he went into this hobbit cave, did some ayahuasca for 4 days and 4 nights, and came out with his head completely melted.
No way.
Cause yeah, I saw that.
I don't want to do that because I don't want to puke.
Yeah, I guess that's also a thing that could happen. I watched.
Ayahuasca is gonna make you puke. puke.
I watched that video clip that you were talking about, though, of him just going on like this extended rant about Dr. Fauci creating HIV in the 80s, and like
I saw something about it on Twitter, but like I didn't delve too deeply into it. Because someone was saying like that he was saying that the government had created AIDS and that conspiracy theory was as old as he was, because it was something
given,
that
like,
like someone made up in like
the
1983.
blueprint, the game plan was made in the 80s. Create a pandemic, with a virus that's going wild, right? Fauci was given like over $350 million to research this, to come up with drugs, new or repurposed, to
Look
handle
at
the
his-
AIDS pandemic. And all they came up with
Look at his
was
face.
AZT.
There's something
And
wrong
if you do
with him.
even a smidge of research, and I know I'm not a, epidemiologist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an immunologist, whatever the fuck. I can read though, right? And I can learn and look things up just like any normal person. I can do my own research, which is
Okay,
so
that does not
vilifying,
make you anything.
to even question authority. But that was the game plan back then. Create an environment where only one thing works. Back then, AZT. Now, remdesivir until we get a vaccine, which, by the way, Anthony Fauci had stake in the Moderna vaccine. And we know Pfizer is one of the most criminally
that's not a
corrupt
surprise.
organizations ever. The fine they paid was the biggest in the history of the DOJ in 2009. Like, what are we talking about? We're going to put our full trust in science that can't be questioned.
What are they talking? I don't know. I never understood that part of the talking point that can't be questioned. Like, what do they think drug testing is?
The blueprint.
We got some details on some soundproof chambers in the chat, which I appreciate.
Is what anechoic chamber at Orfield Laboratories of Minnesota, United States. It is so quiet that the longest anybody has been able to bear is just 45 minutes. I can go for longer. It said after a few minutes you hear your heartbeat, blood moving, and bones grinding. That sounds fucking awful. Yeah, you would have to be on some kind of a crazy drug that would distract you from all of that.
I have to say that I'm with Taco on this, and I also personally believe that I can go for longer.
45 minutes in like a chamber of silence? My
bones are grinding.
I've got tinnitus. I can't do that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I would just hear.
I would like to try. I would like to try because I want the experience of knowing whether I could make it or not. I want to
But
know.
you might go insane. You might turn into Aaron Rodgers. Is it worth that?
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be taking the drugs that make me puke.
You would walk into here and stay there for.
I'm not walking in the outhouse. I'm going to this place in Minnesota.
What does the Minnesota place look like?
Looks
I would
like
go
a
to the
padded room, I think.
A padded room. Oh, so like an old-fashioned insane asylum.
Hmm.
Let me see if I can
I don't
find
know. I
an
don't know
image
what it
of this
looks like.
facility. Oh my god, this looks like something out of fucking Hellraiser. I would go insane in like seconds if I was in Jesus, wait.
I don't
on
know
a
if you
second.
gotta look at it though.
I mean, how could you avoid it? Look, it's on every wall. Hold on a second.
Are you in the dark?
Let me actually click on this thing here. Architecture. Okay, so it's just a normal building on the outside, but what? Alright, that doesn't help.
I wonder. I don't know if I could fall asleep if I could hear my bones creaking.
I know for certain I wouldn't be able to. I have a white noise machine that I listen to when I go to sleep just for that reason.
Well, I got news for you. Click that link that says the quietest place on Earth. On the top.
Oh, it's a PDF.
I got news for you. Maybe your blood rushing is going to be a new white noise machine. I think that would be worse. I think it would be worse. Not if you like went to this quiet place and you were like, "Ugh, I can't stand the sound of my blood rushing." It would be like, "How can I recreate? How can I get this back?" That would be way worse.
Oh, I have too much health anxiety to be okay with that. Let's see if there's a.
Yeah, probably. Did silence actually drive you crazy?
Okay, quietest place on Earth. Oh, ever measured on Earth. As a private testing facility, it is not open to the public. So you'd have to sneak into this place.
How would you get in there?
An anechoic chamber is a standardized test facility. And it's a facility where, by definition, it's close to 100% sound absorbent. We filed to have the quietest acoustic lab in the world. And Guinness had never had a negative decibel claim, and so they said, we'd rather just call it the quietest place on Earth. And we said, that's fine. The first thing I noticed is the silence in the chamber. And the second thing I noticed is that my eyes seem to process differently. When you become disoriented, you always look for secondary senses. And so when you walk into an anechoic chamber, your anchor is your vision because the sound doesn't make sense to you. And over a period of time, it would generate hallucinations in most people if they have the patience and the willingness to stay there at all.
So you just naturally hallucinate.
Nice.
Damn. So you don't even need the fucking ayahuasca.
Oh, man. We missed our window by 10 years.
Wait, what? This guy didn't do it, did he?
I'm going to scream as loud as I can, and I'm going to keep screaming as loud as I can while I spin around. And I'll keep going until my breath runs out.
What?
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's a hell of a way to start a video. What point are you proving? We aren't in the soundproof room. I don't want to watch that one. When you can hear electricity, everything is a white noise machine. Just be deaf for this challenge, easy. When the power went down a few nights ago, the sound of an entire block losing power snatched me out of sleep like like a scream. I was in full panic. Joe was like, "That's what I would be like too." Honestly,
Yeah.
the only thing
I also wake up when the power goes out.
Do you? I only do because like
the absence of sound, because there's a change. So it like, what's wrong? Like, I think I recognize that something is different.
Why are they playing saxophones? Okay, that was a reverberant. I can hear the reverb.
That's crazy how when she turns towards the wall, like, you can hear it fade out.
I gotta tell you, that would probably be a good room to do some recording in as a musician if you didn't want any other exterior noise being picked up. Our bedroom is very quiet,
go to bed,
and very dark. It's the best way for either of us can sleep. I have to have noise, so that's not going to be that's not an option for me.
I don't have to have noise, but I have to have like a like, in order to fall asleep,
Yeah.
I need to have like either like a thunderstorm sound, or sometimes I have like a guided meditation.
That's what I
session,
have. I have
but-
the rainstorm.
Yeah. Mhm.
All right. Well, I'm gonna
I
let
will
you
go
get to
into
bed.
this room and just sing "That's Amore" for 13 days and 13 nights. When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's Amore.
I feel like that's
love
I don't know why, but I feel like that song is racist against Italians.
I'm going to go into that room and sing Christmas songs. 13 days and 13 nights.
That fucking
Okay.
annoying ass song. I want a hippopotamus for Christmas. Ugh. How can you like that?
It's so cute.
That's humiliating.
Well, good night, everybody.
Thank you for joining me as I ritualistically humiliate you for liking Christmas music.
No shame in my game.
All right, have a good night. I'll talk to you later.
Bye, friends. Thanks. I'll see you next time.
All right. There I am. I am also going to head out for the night. Oh wow, almost 4 hours. I didn't realize it was almost 2 a.m. Thank you for joining me, everyone. I appreciate it. This was fun. It was a fun stream. I liked it. Oh, my Fallout 4 finished downloading, so maybe I'll play Fallout 4 next time. Not tomorrow, though. I won't be streaming tomorrow. I will be streaming on Saturday. Good night. Adios. Same. I'm going to bed. Yes, it's bedtime for everyone. We should all go tuck ourselves in right now. So thank you all for joining me. I appreciate it. Hope you all enjoy the rest of your evening, and hope I'll see you all again on Saturday. Take it easy, y'all.